So where exactly can you hear Tobacco Road Sports Radio?
Oh, North Carolina, Curtisville, Salisbury, you know what I'm saying? Burlington. I didn't bring you Raleigh, Greensboro, Charlotte.
For the best in live sports debate, live sporting events, and more, tune in to Tobacco Road Sports Radio. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
It's the North Shore, baby. Archdale.
Hey, Panther fans, right now on the SiriusXM app, hear the most in-depth Carolina Panthers coverage anywhere with Believe in Carolina Panthers, part of the Believe podcast network on SiriusXM. Hear from me, Desmond Johnson, and my co-host, Skylar Callahan from Sports Illustrated, and Panther great Jonathan Stewart as we break down the Panthers before and after every game through the NFL season. Your team, your podcast. Search BLEAV in Carolina Panthers on the SiriusXM app, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you believe?
Hey, Pops, where you want to go eat tonight?
I'm going to go get me some good Southern cooking at Ball Brothers down by the airport in Winston.
No, Pops, it's Bell Brothers, and they closed years ago. It's Taste of the Triad now.
Taste of the Triad? Is it in the old Ball Brothers building?
Yup.
Can I still get baked chicken and collard greens?
Sure can.
How about neck bones, meatloaf, and pork chops?
Taste of the Triad has all that.
So they ain't got pinto beans, tater salad, mac and cheese, or fried okra?
Pops, they have all that, plus homemade cakes and cobblers and sweet potato pie.
Well, then I don't care what they call it. Let's go eat.
Taste of the Triad. Open daily for lunch with $5.99 specials from 11 to 2 and chef specials daily. Don't miss the Saturday brunch from 9 to 1 and the soulful Sunday dinner when you come out of church full of the word, but hungry for Southern comfort food. Taste of the Triad in the old Bell Brothers building at Old Walkertown Road and North Liberty in Winston-Salem.
That's good Southern cooking.
This is Terry Rozier, and you're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson on Tobacco Road Sports Radio on WWBG 1470 AM.
Like to have everybody's attention for a moment.
There's a stat. I don't like bringing up stats, but there's one stat about the Panthers.
In the world is James Harden better scorer than Michael Jordan?
No, he's more creative in that.
Traveling is not creative, Brandon.
You know, no matter what the score is, and they've said themselves, whether they're up 10, down 20, whatever, they know they can turn it on whenever.
Why did you have to bring up the Cowboys in this conversation?
Lived in Texas for 2 years and just could not stand to watch Cowboys football.
All right, listen up.
Welcome to The Rundown. Here's Desmond Johnson.
And welcome into The Rundown, brand new Saturday edition of The Rundown here on WWBG 1470 AM, your new home for Triad Sports. Desmond Johnson here with you from 10 a.m. until 12 noon today, getting you ready for your afternoon kickoffs. We'll send you off on your way, loaded with info, loaded with knowledge. Full house here for the first part of hour number one. Hot Rod Funderburk in the house, Larry Frank from Frankly Speaking Sports, Jalen Gilkey from WFMY News 2, and live and direct from North Dakota, Brandon Blakeney in the house. Got a full panel here for hour number one. Stick around, especially hour number two. This is the 92 East Forsyth takeover. East Forsyth's 1992 state championship football team. Their captain stopped by. We chopped it up, talked a little bit about that team. Finished 15th overall nationally at the end of 1992. Rod was a member of that team. He's on that panel as well. Plus, we've got Sam Farber, play-by-play voice of the Charlotte Hornets Radio Network. He's going to stop by, talk a little Hornets talk with us. If you missed the announcement earlier this week, WWBG is your new home for the Charlotte Hornets in the Triad, powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio. First game will be November the 3rd versus the Chicago Bulls with a 7:30 tip-off. I believe we're doing a local pregame show. It'll start at 7 p.m. Some more details to come with that as we get into it. Guys, I know y'all know I'm having a great week due to the fact that my Panthers finally did what I've been wanting them to do for about a year and a half. But before we get into that, since Brandon's in the house, y'all know what we got to do.
Oh, it's temperature check.
What's the weather like, baby?
I just want to start this off by saying I blame this man, Jalen. I blame Jalen. He put this on me, man. He spoken into existence.
Brother, you signed the contract. I just informed you what you signed up for. Hey, hold on now. No fake news now. We ain't under no contract. We can be a free agent anytime now. But anyway, it was a cool 32 last night, week 7. Week 8 high school playoffs. You know, we feeling like playoff weather right now, 32 degrees. That's why I say playoffs.
Man, we had
But
a cool, crisp 50 outside last night. It was perfect, perfect football weather up here. 32.
Hey, we getting back up to about 60 next Friday, dude. So you said it was that pneumonia weather. So I'm gonna be careful.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, Grandma would be like, "That's pneumonia weather. Make sure you got that T-shirt on underneath that shirt or sweater or whatever you got going on, because it's gonna go right back to 35."
Right now at 10 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock your time. I know it's freezing still.
Oh man, we done flipped the heat on in the house. It's fall for real. I'm in the hoodie, man. This ain't no facade.
Let's hop into it. If people got questions they want to ask or hot takes about anything that we're talking about, any of the hot takes we give, like it says down below, just type it into the Facebook watch or the YouTube Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. You can watch this live feed there. We'll answer it in real time. Guys, as you know, Monday afternoon or Monday morning, Panthers owner David Tepper finally did what everyone had been kind of talking about in the room and released head coach Matt Rule along with defensive coordinator Phil Snow from the Carolina Panthers. I think an assistant special teams coach was let go as well. Interim head coach Steve Wilks in the house. Got a year coaching at Arizona, got unceremoniously dismissed after a year for Cliff Kingsbury. They also dismissed the quarterback he drafted, Josh Rosen, who was picked in the top 10 that year. He got a year as well. They drafted Kyler Murray with the number 1 pick right after that. Wilkes eventually found his way back to Carolina this year. I've said plenty this week about the situation, so I'm just going to go around the room and see what people think in terms of it being since the start of week 5 when this started going down and Wilkes took over. Is it too early to fire a head coach that early in the season, or does it matter based on situation? Rod, let's start off with you. Did the Panthers possibly make a mistake letting Matt Rule go this early in the season?
Yeah, I don't know if they made a mistake letting him go early, Dez. I think the writing was on the wall. They were eventually gonna let him go, whether it was this early, whether it was at the end of the season. You know, me personally, I prefer to let someone go when the season is done. You know, they have no excuses when the season is done. You give them a full opportunity to complete the season, try and right the ship, so to speak, if they can. However, I think Matt Rule was just making too many mistakes. I had a conversation with you, and you informed me about how Matt Rule was trying to have his hand in everything, not only in the football operations, but social media operations. I mean, come on, some of these things, you know, is pretty much an exercise in futility. And when you do that, and he didn't need to be on the media side, he needed to concentrate on football operations, period, and winning games. And when you start looking elsewhere as a head coach, you know, at some point in time, you know, you're going to be let go. But David Tepper is the type of person, you know, richest man in the NFL. When he wants results now. And if you can't produce results, he's the type of person that's just going to say it's just time to move on, regardless if you have 4 years, $40 million left on your contract, doesn't matter. He wants results right then. So, but I would have let him stay and just fired him at the end of the year. But, you know, maybe it sends a message to the rest of the team that, everyone's expendable. You better step up. And if you're not doing the work, you can find yourself hanging out with Matt Rule these last few weeks of the NFL. So I don't know, Dez. I don't know if they did the right thing or not, but I wouldn't have.
David Tepper has yet to experience a winning season as Panthers owner since he took over ownership at the end of 2017. Larry, your thoughts on this? You were kind of on this early. You thought that they could do it by week 4, week 5. It went down. Perfect scenario Sunday against the 49ers. It was a sea of red in Bank of America Stadium. Just no life in the team. Same excuses from Rule in the post game. Did they make the right choice to let him go this early in the season with 12 games left?
Well, first of all, they made the wrong decision by not letting him go at the end of last year. So now what you have to do is you have to go ahead and say, how long are we going to allow this to go on? You know, anyone that's played sports before, and I think all of us at one time in our lives have played a certain sport, we all know no matter, this is NFL players on these teams. 75% of winning is attitude. And this team under Matt Rule did not have the right attitude. If you look at this team, they have a good team. They have a good team. They have good weapons. They have a decent defense. Unfortunately, the coach's job is to motivate them and bring out the best in these players. There's a reason why each of these players have been brought to this team. Unfortunately, under the leadership of Matt Rule, it wasn't able to come out, and it was time. And also remember, they had this plan. Don't think this was something that just came up. Game 5, we're not winning. We're going to fire him. Steve Wilkes was brought in for a reason, okay? Ben McAdoo was brought in for a reason. And part of that reason was if there was a slow start in the season, they can make a move. And let's not forget all you Panther fans out there. There's still 12 games left in the season. That's 3/4 of the season is still left. I'm not going to say that you're going to the playoffs or anything, but it's real quickly the attitude can change. And for those of you that have followed the Panthers like you have, Desmond, there's been a way different attitude this week in practice than there's been in the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, actually, Skylar Callahan, who's with me on the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast twice a week now with Jonathan Stewart, he mentioned yesterday on Thursday's episode or 2 days ago, that the mood in practice was one of the most upbeat moods that he had seen since maybe training camp. Everyone was just in a different vibe, I guess, with Wilkes. And I noticed too that I've always had a problem with Matt Rule's press conferences, and I've mentioned it before, but like he kind of comes off like a used car salesman. Like when he starts talking real fast, it's almost like he's trying to get around not saying something, and his mind hasn't caught up to where his mouth is. So he just starts talking really, really fast. Steve Wilkes is to the strict and to the point. Like, I don't know if anybody saw his press conference from yesterday. His yesterday press conference was like maybe all of 1 minute and 45 seconds. He came out, said it was available, said they had hard practice. They're going to get after it on Sunday. They're not looking at the future. They just want to win on Sunday. Anybody got any questions? All right, peace out. And he just basically, it's just.
And he's probably like that to the players on the field, where maybe Matt Rule, like you just said, was thinking something and saying something else, or sugarcoating to these players how good or how bad they were doing. Wilkes ain't going to do that. Wilkes is going to tell you you're either good or you're either bad. And remember, guys, Hot Rod, you played football for a while. Remember, you want the attitude. You're going up against Aaron Donald. Do you think Aaron Donald on Sunday is going, what happens if I don't beat the lineman in front of me? Heck no. His attitude is, I'm going to beat the guy in front of me. It's just a switch in attitude that makes the whole difference. These are NFL players, guys. They all belong in the NFL. Then they all should be able to perform. Why aren't they? And that's hopefully the answer you're going to get from Steve Wilkes.
Jalen, your thoughts here on Panthers firing Matt Rule here beginning of week 5? Did they do it too early? Did they do it too late?
If anything, it was too late. Like Larry said, they should have fired Matt Rule at the end of last season after their third consecutive 5-win season.
Well, yeah, but that first one was Ron Rivera mostly, and then they let him go in 2019.
But I mean, no improvement, like literally no improvement over the first 2 years of the Matt Rule era.
Yeah.
Right? We're in the same spot. Even better players, some would say, than on the Ron Rivera squad. But yeah, I would say it was too late because matter of fact, I would say right on time, because it's the perfect time to go ahead and realize, hey, this isn't going to be the year. Let's kind of protect some of our guys. Let's lose some ball games and get a good draft pick.
Now, I'm gonna push back on that part because the NFL is different than tanking in the NBA. In the NBA, you can really manipulate it and quote unquote tank, but it's really hard.
When you've had 9 quarterbacks in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can manipulate it at that position there, but at this point,
saying.
Go ahead
and lose. NBA is tough though with the lottery.
It is with the lottery. If football is concrete, if you lose the most games, you get the first pick.
But it's hard to lose the most games, like on purpose.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, look at Miami. Miami tried to do it a couple years ago, and they ended up on a win streak at the end of the year and knocked themselves out of the first
Some
pick.
people in Miami were trying to lose.
Yeah,
Some
I think
people
in Miami
wasn't trying to lose.
That's a good point. Right. That's a good point. But no, I mean, like I was talking to Stu about this because I was like, "What does that mentality ever come in the locker room?" And he was like, "No, we're paid professional athletes. We're not going out there with the
But see, the thing is, when the coach is out there telling you to knee on 4th and 8, like Joe Judge did last year, that's coming down from
or
the top.
Playing the young guys, you bitch the starter. Like
exactly.
They play young guys.
You let the young guys go see what the young guys do. I mean, you're already out there with PJ Walker for probably about 2 weeks at least.
That's the issue. We don't have a quarterback right now.
That's what I'm saying. You got 3 quarterbacks in a walking boot.
Yeah.
So
now I will say
you're going to lose games.
I will say
this is
that
what is going to happen.
News came out on Baker Mayfield yesterday that he's been upgraded from 2 to 4 weeks to day, and actually Wilkes did say in that press conference that Baker Mayfield may end up being the backup on Sunday. So maybe his sprain isn't as bad as we thought. It's a high ankle sprain, so usually it is pretty bad.
Well, it's because they don't have anybody else. They go if he's not the backup on Sunday, they have to go send somebody.
Or they'll do like Wildcat or something. They did promote Jacob Easton from a practice squad who played at Washington. So
exactly, that's what I'm saying. We don't have any option there at backup. You got 3 quarterbacks in a walking boot, Desmond.
I'll also say this too: if they were going to tank, they should have just kept Rule. Like, there's no reason to promote Steve Wilkes if your idea is to lose as many games as possible. Rule was already doing that in spades. Like, you didn't need to switch out the coach if you're planning.
But you got to make something happen and be able to show.
Plus,
the
players hadn't turned on Rule. The players hadn't turned on Rule for the most part. I mean, it sounds
the
like
fans and the crowd had. Like you said, it was more red than blue at the game on Sunday, which is a problem.
Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that's typical though at Panthers games, to be honest, because Charlotte's just that melting.
I was going to say that too. Like, I've been to Panther games where the Steelers fans are outnumbering people, and the Steelers aren't even playing the Panthers. Like, they're not even in town.
It's a baby franchise. They literally have a Patriots bar there. But anyways, regardless of that, I think Matt Rule. I agree with some of the panel that it was too late, man. They should have let him go last year. Back-to-back 5-12. They obviously regressed this year. It's different when the players will run through a wall for the coach and play hard for him, and you're losing. At least, it still looks good. They're losing ugly. It looks like the team doesn't really respect him and lost respect for him for a long time. He's not like a player's type of coach. And he never really earned his chops in the NFL. It was one of those, hey, let's bring this guy from college and see what happens. And the experiment failed terribly. And it just really wasn't many bright spots, man. Like you said, the press conferences were ridiculous. And I feel like he had a bad habit of throwing players under the bus, man. Like,
yes.
It's crazy. And he couldn't analyze tape to save his life, man. Like, the plays he would describe was nuts. It was, I mean, you see the guy from WRAL.
I was going to say, go get my man, Dennis Cox. Go follow Dennis Cox.
The accuracy is what makes it funny, man. Like, it's so accurate. It's like, what is this dude doing?
He does the best Matt Rule impression. They just put a video out, him and Chris Lee. They're from the Culture State podcast, and they're actually on right now in Raleigh, Saturday mornings, I believe, right now, where Matt Rule is like out in the wilderness, and he's like like hiking on a trail, and he's standing at a map, and he's talking like Matt Rule. He's like, I really love this map. You can go left, you can go right, you can go up the middle, you can go around the side, you can make a U-turn, you can do this and that, but at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, dang, he's got Matt Rule like down pat. I told him.
Sounds just like him.
Just like him. I was like, dude, I almost wish they kept Matt Rule so we could keep you doing this for the rest of the year. I was like, you got to do him anyway. You just got to do him in random situations. Like I told him, you got to have Matt Rule trying to buy a used car from a used car salesman that sounds like Matt Rule and just have them going back and forth. He's like, maybe I'll try that one. So we'll see if he does.
I will say though, man, I don't think that tanking, I think they got too much talent to tank right now. Like, you do need a quarterback, but they kind of have a win now roster. I mean, you can still get a quarterback at the end of the day, but
and the division is in shambles. Like, the division is there for the taking. They're like
it's only 2 games behind.
Yeah, and they've only played 1 division game. And look at the division. The Saints, come on, the Saints, and then
the Falcons.
The Bucs, Tom Brady going through some personal stuff.
Falcons have been better than people thought they were going to be this year, though.
The Falcons,
especially without Calvin Ridley, man, that
Falcons
really
have been a better football team than a lot of people expect.
But they're still semi-trash, though. That's the point.
Well, I mean, brother, the dumpster calling the trash is.
We can do that. That's fine. Like, you can make fun of family, but like if somebody outside the family make fun of the family, then it's a problem. Like I can make fun of other teams.
The problem in Carolina, the problem in Carolina with the quarterback position, people can't forget the name Cam Newton. So no matter who the heck comes in here, and if they don't perform up to the level that Cam did, they're not good anymore. Now, I'm not saying we have on this team quarterbacks that even come close to being average quarterbacks yet. They haven't proven it. But why can't PJ Walker go out if the team is on fire? Christian McCaffrey, you got the weapons. PJ Walker last year versus St. Louis, and I know it was the coming back of Arizona, the coming back of Cam, but he was 22 of 29. This year he was 5 of 6. If anybody watched PJ Walker in college, which I did, he's going to throw interceptions because that's the way he plays the game. But he has a rocket of an arm. And why can't they? See, that's the attitude I'm talking about, guys. Why can't he go tomorrow and beat the Rams with this team? They're on fire. They have nothing to lose. It's a new culture they're bringing in. What says it? You know what says it? The 75% attitude that it takes to win in the NFL.
I mean, you still need some talent, though.
Yeah, that is resume. I mean, he's had opportunity. He's had opportunity to show that he could be more than just a backup quarterback with the Panthers. In fact, the only reason why PJ Walker
it all the time.
The only reason why PJ Walker's still on this roster is because the quarterbacks got injured in front of him. Like he was
right.
They weren't going to keep.
Yeah, he's smelly. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, but he's always thrown in there. He's in mop-up situations. Now, I'm not saying he's a good quarterback
he played for Matt
by
Rule.
any means.
He played for Matt Rule, so we just kept him around. Like, and now, I mean, first Sam Darnold. Well, actually, Matt Corral, the rookie, had broke his foot in preseason. Because really, it was the week he was about to get cut. It was like after game 3 or whatever, and they were about to do these cuts, and PJ was about to get cut, and he knew. Like Skyler actually, I think, talked to him about it in the locker room, and he seemed to accept that it was probably coming. Then Corral's foot got broke, so he hung around another week or two. Then Sam Darnold got hurt, and all of a sudden PJ's the backup quarterback, and there's no one to look over his shoulder. And now he's the starting quarterback due to Baker getting hurt. So it's like, just through attrition, he just waited it out, and now he's still sitting.
Think of the story you have if they win tomorrow with
I'm not rooting
Walker.
PJ. Like, I'm not rooting against. I think people think I'm rooting against PJ because I come on him kind of hard.
No, I know you're not.
But I mean, I want my Panthers to win. I look at it like for me to answer my own question, I'm glad they did it now because there are 12 games left in this season. And while they've got a little stretch right here coming up that's going to be pretty tough, playing the Rams in LA, you got Tampa coming up here.
Rams kind of stink, though.
They're not good this year. They're not playing
like
well at
us.
all.
If you look at them side by side, their stats kind of like
I mean, it's still very early though to determine who's. I mean,
and we're banged up a little bit too, but this is a winnable game. It's a winnable game.
Take Stafford and he turning that thing over.
Cam Akers is
struggling right now,
too. And actually, there's some stuff going around where there's rumors that Cam Akers may not play again. I'm not just something they haven't said specifically what it is, but he was out for personal reasons earlier in the week, and they've already ruled him out for Sunday. And that's the rumor that's going around that something's going on. So he's out, so they don't have their starting running back. I think the starting center is out too. He got ruled out a couple days ago. So there's Stafford can be had. Matter of fact, one of PJ's 2 wins as a starter came against Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions 2 years ago. It was a 20-0 win. The defense pitched a shutout. PJ got the victory. And then the other win as a starter was that game against Arizona last year when Cam came back and scored those red zone touchdowns. We did mention the whole how long is it going to take before Cam Newton's name pops up again to come in, because this would be an ideal situation. But after last year, Matt Rule messed that whole thing up. I always felt like Matt Rule did not want Cam Newton back on this football team. And when he got put back on this team, he basically appeased Tepper game 1 and a little bit of game 2. But if you look back on it, Cam's playing time got smaller and smaller while he was there, to the point where he almost forgot he was back on the team by the time we got to the end of the season. And I went back to listen to Cam's press conference at the end of the year, where they were asking, is this it? Are you going to play again? What are your thoughts about being here? And Cam said it. Cam said it verbatim. He was like, I kind of caught the vibe that some of the players here have not bought in to what they're selling. Like, that's the vibe I got. He was like, I'm not going to rule out coming back, but I'm not coming back for no 5-12. Like, it basically, it's an indictment on the coaching staff. If you go back and listen to it now, after everything that's happened, and he put it out there on the table. And if I was Cam Newton, I wouldn't come back here. In fact, if I was Cam Newton, I wouldn't play football anymore. I'd be done. Like, financially straight. He don't need to come back. Why come back and tarnish the reputation you built by trying to hang on a couple of extra years in a situation where you may not be fully in control of where you are? Just be done. And to answer your question, Larry, from earlier, the Panther fans, they're going to hold on to Cam Newton because he's the best quarterback the franchise has ever had.
That's the standard.
He's the league MVP. Like, we've never had a player at that status before. And there are a lot of people, myself included, that spent a lot of hours defending this guy for the most random stuff, like whatever he wore on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that you're arguing
everything but his play.
Former Panther, Panther fans were like arguing with every Monday about whatever stupid hat Cam Newton wore at the podium, or Or is he wearing a house coat? Like just dumb stuff like that he went through for years. So some of us have an affinity for Cam where we feel like we kind of stuck ourselves out there to defend him. And he more often than not showed up for us. And the franchise kind of did him dirty the way he had to leave here when Tepper took over.
Ain't no condo.
I mean, they could have let him go way earlier than what they did. By the time they let him go, the market was dried up. So he basically had to sit and got lucky getting on with the Patriots. But COVID, I mean, like he's just the tail end of his career just has been weird. It's been a huge what if. And a lot of Panther fans feel like he should have never been shipped out of town. Like he should still be here and they should have figured something out. But I'm a huge Cam Newton fan, but I'm over the whole bringing him back. I got that last year. I don't want to see that again. I'm ready to move on. The team is always bigger to me than the player. And I think people think that I appreciate the player more than the team. No, the Panthers are still going to be here 20 years from now, 30 years from now. I'll still be a Panther fan. Cam Newton is not. So while he's one of my favorite players, I'm not going to say I'm going to follow Cam Newton wherever he goes and screw the Panthers. It's really more the other way around. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to have a conversation about Kobe Bean Bryant. I finished watching the Hulu documentary on the Los Angeles Lakers. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It is fantastic. It goes from Showtime, Magic and Kareem, from when Dr. Buss bought the team, all the way to LeBron and Anthony Davis winning in the bubble in 2021, and everything in between, with interviews with players, coaches, family. I didn't know the Buss family had a secret kid. Like I didn't know about any of this stuff. So like definitely go watch that. And then the Redeem Team documentary that came out on Netflix was very revealing too about the 08 Redeem Team. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about who would have won between 1992 and 2008. That'll be a good conversation as well. So stick around. More to come. You're listening to The Rundown, WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Mossy's Eats, Ales, and Spirits in Clemens is a unique family-friendly sports restaurant with an awesome bar and fresh menu that keeps guests coming back for more. Try the pizzas, buffalo bites, and wings, sandwiches, burgers that make your mouth water, made in-house, plus 23 taps and a variety of craft beers. Have a cocktail and relax at Mossy's. Plus, with 33 HD TVs and all the sports packages around, you can watch pretty much any game you can imagine at Mossy's. Plus, a year-round outdoor patio, fun atmosphere, great food. What more can you ask for? Mossy's Eats, Ale, and Spirits, 6235 Town Center Drive in Clemens. Visit our website at mossy'sclemens.com.
You deserve to get good service and great rates. At State Farm, we get it. And we're here to help because with every State Farm policy, you get good neighbor service and you get surprisingly great rates. So what are you waiting for? Get going and talk to a local State Farm agent about your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
When you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Susanna Nunn in Kernersville today.
Find your next car at Auto Store of North Carolina in Walkertown. Their goal is to make car shopping and car buying experience fast, friendly, and easy. They have helped hundreds of customers get behind the wheel of a newer, reliable, quality used car, and they could help you too. Stop by and speak with one of their sales professionals today and drive away with your new car. The Auto Store of North Carolina, 4964 Reedsville Road in Walkertown. Give them a call at 336-595-8550 and view the current inventory of vehicles at autostoreofnc.com.
It's game time. Brother Cluckers has you covered. Check out the Clucking Football Feeding Frenzy for $5 deal. 25 fried chicken tenders, 2 jumbo sides, and 1 gallon of sweet or unsweetened tea for only $39.99. Special only valid via online ordering. Just visit brother-cluckers.com to place your order and enjoy the games. Brother Cluckers, located in front of the Food Line Shopping Center at 1547 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Brother Cluckers.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Kuhn-Godfrey.
Hi, I'm Deanna Kaplan.
Hi, I am Richard Watts.
The common sense choice for Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board.
It would be our honor to serve you.
Make your voice heard by voting for Deanna,
Richard,
Sabrina,
and Common Sense. We need your support.
Early voting starts October 20th. Paid for by Sabrina Kuhn-Godfrey for VOE, Deanna Kaplan for School Board, Richard Watts at large School Board.
Hey, y'all, Chinese Mobile Auto. Is your car broke down? Are you stuck somewhere? Do you need a mechanic? You don't want to call a tow truck? Call Chinese Mobile Auto. He'll come out to you, do your work, whatever you need done, your regular maintenance, or if you're broke down on the side of the road, give him a call. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 336-423-6241. You don't even have to see me. Just let me know what's wrong with your car, and I will come and fix it, y'all. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, I'm on the Twitters, whatever you guys need, 336-423-6241. As always, I'll be seeing you.
This is LaMelo Ball, and you're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio on WWBG 1470 AM, your home for Hornets basketball in the Triad.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to the Rundown, WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Desmond Johnson, Hot Rod Funderburk, Larry Frank, Brandon Blakeney, Jalen Gilkey in the house. A little bit later on, we'll have the state champs, 1992 East Forsyth state championship football team. It's the 30-year anniversary of that historic team. They'll be taking over the 11 o'clock hour along with Sam Farber from the Charlotte Hornets Radio Network. We'll get a Charlotte Hornets preview and a little news on LaMelo Ball's ankle that he sprained in that last preseason game against Philadelphia on Wednesday. If you haven't heard the Charlotte Hornets' new homes, Tobacco Road Sports Radio and WWBG 1470 AM in the Triad, they will start November 3rd, 7:30 tip-off against the Chicago Bulls. And you'll hear that on 1470 AM exclusively here in the Triad. Guys, I was watching the Lakers legacy documentary on Hulu over the past 10 weeks. As a lot of people know, I am a Hornets fan, but I started off as a Laker fan. I grew up in the 80s, Showtime Lakers, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lakers versus Celtics, that whole thing. Like, I still get angry when I see a Celtics jersey. Like, I'm ingrained in Lakerland. And watching that documentary and then watching the Redeem Team documentary on Netflix, it's really good, about the 08 Olympic team that kind of focused on Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Carmelo Anthony, that group. I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I get in these arguments all the time online about who's the greatest, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Kobe Bryant needs to be in this conversation. Like, I don't understand why he's not. So, like, over a 20-year career, Kobe Bryant made the All-Star team 18 times, 5-time champion, a 2-time Finals MVP, 12-time All-Defensive Player. He's the NBA's 4th all-time leading scorer. Actually, I think it's 4. That might be still correct. Because I know LeBron is number 2 now. I don't know if that bumped him down. The NBA's 4th all-time leading scorer with over 33,000 points. I have him in my top 10. Matter of fact, I have Kobe. I think I have Kobe at number 4, behind Jordan, Kareem, Magic, Kobe. Then I have LeBron at 5 as it stands at the moment. And if you look at my list, a lot of it's from the top down rings. Number 1, Jordan's got 6. Number 2, Kareem's got 6. Number 3, Magic's got 5. Number 4, Kobe's got 5. Number 5, LeBron's got 4. So like I kind of do it in that manner because I do believe rings matter. But my question is, should the argument be Kobe versus LeBron for the place on the list as opposed to Jordan versus LeBron? I'm glad Brandon's here because Brandon just knows when to pop in when he knows some NBA stuff is going down. And he's the official LeBron. I'm a LeBron fan too, but he's the official LeBron fan on the panel. I know you got love for Black Mamba too. Has that thought ever crossed your mind that Kobe Bryant's a better ball player than LeBron James?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think anybody that watched Kobe in that era, like, to me, Kobe is my Michael Jordan. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I think MJ is the standard, and him and Kobe are so similar. They're kind of one, and people just kind of see that as the prototype. So it's kind of like they compare Jordan and LeBron because Kobe and Jordan are kind of just that same breed. It ain't really a comparison. They're like the same. But, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say that you were wrong. I think Kobe, the only thing that he gets slighted with is, LeBron's got 4 MVPs. He was voted best player in the league 4 times. Kobe only got that once. And everybody on this panel knows that's some nonsense. But
Steve
You know,
Nash got one of those joints at his house, like
yeah,
right now.
man.
Yeah.
Like that's Kobe's, man. But nah, I think that conversation needs to be had more. And I think, especially after seeing that Redeem Team documentary, you saw like the impact that Kobe had in the league and the respect that everybody had. Like they know what was up when Kobe walked in, and he was just different, man. But I think that is valid. You know, I don't feel that way, but I absolutely think that's valid. Like you could have him 1, 2, 3, like, you know, in that order: LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, whatever you want to mix it up. But I think it's valid.
Kobe's got all the things that people use to tout LeBron: longevity. He's got the numbers. He's got hardware. He actually has more rings than LeBron, and he did it for the marquee franchise in the NBA. Like he was the face of the Lakers for 20 years for the most part. Jalen, what say you? Because I've seen you on both sides of the fence in this argument. Should the argument be more Kobe versus LeBron than Jordan versus whoever? Because it feels like Kobe gets slighted when we talk about all-time greatest.
In my opinion, it absolutely should be more Kobe versus LeBron, just because not only were they contemporaries, but I think Jordan has that kind of untouchable 6-for-6 element in his resume. That's like, okay, there's nobody can really compare to that from the modern game, right? Just because of the dominance and leave for 2 years and then come back and get you 3 more, like nothing ever happened. I think those type of things set Jordan apart. Now, the Bean, and as the Redeem Team video, the documentary showed, he really shifted the entire mindset of a lot of the superstars of the NBA to set their careers up to continue to flourish. I know they were already great players, but when they were really able to see the work that he was putting in, the attitude he brought to the game, once you're on his team, you're on his team. And when you're not, you're not. And I think they took more mental and mentality, pointers from that than anything. And so him being the OG in a sense, that should already elevate him to that tier that's right up there with Jordan. And now that Bron is, what is this, 14 years later since that was all filmed.
Yeah.
LeBron has elevated himself into that tier as well. Like Brandon said, it doesn't really matter your order, but those should be your top 3.
I feel like too, I love the story that they were telling, I think it was Carmelo and a few others. They were in Las Vegas training or something for the team, and the guys went out to unwind. They went to some club or something, had a great time, and they were coming back. It was like 4:30 in the morning. They were coming back to the hotel, and Kobe already had a sweat and was like walking through the lobby or whatever. Like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm going to go put up some hoops or whatever. And they were like, put up some hoops? It's 4:30 in the morning. Like, what are you doing? And like, he was like, I'm going to go work out. And it went from that day, them seeing him doing that early, where like the next day, 1 or 2 of them joined him. And by the time they were, a couple weeks in, the whole team was down there at like 5 in the morning lifting weights and doing stuff, following Kobe's lead. Like that kind of stuff separates him for me from a lot of other players. And I know LeBron does it now, where he's, keeping his body in tip-top shape. And we might see LeBron do something that we haven't seen anybody do, which is play at an extremely high MVP level at 20 years into the game or whatever.
I mean, has anybody played with their kid? Like, that's nuts.
Not in basketball. I mean,
right? I know in other sports, but
yeah,
but in the NBA though,
I don't think so. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that would even you would be able to do that.
Did Curry not at the end of his career? No, I don't think he did.
No, I think Dell was already long retired by the time Steph got.
Yeah, Dell was long gone.
Long gone. I'm thinking of recent. Barry didn't either, right?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think anybody has, and it's still not a guarantee LeBron will. But because I personally think Bronny's overrated. I think Bryce is the one that's going to be the better player.
I don't know, man. You need to watch.
He's gotten better.
Film.
You know what I hate? You know what I hate, Brandon?
Flip, man.
Brandon, you know what I hate? I hate grown men that be hating on kids.
Nah, I ain't hating on him. I'm just telling you what it is.
The boy was 14. The boy was 14 years old. He was like 6'1", and everybody was like, "Oh, he ain't gonna make. He ain't gonna make." Now he about 6'5" now.
Usually they don't.
Bronny
and he is
like a
hooping.
Grown man.
He hooping.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I remember like when he couldn't dunk it and all that kind of stuff. Now he's grown. He's grown into his game.
People.
I think it's real quick on that. I think he might need to get to a different school. Not because of talent, but because of the fact that there's so many guys on that team. They run Like it's like everybody's got to eat, right? I think he needs to go to a school where it's like he really
Sierra
needs to
King.
be able to put up magic numbers. You know
Is this
what I'm
a senior
saying?
year? Is this a senior year or junior year?
Yeah, senior year. He just had a big game yesterday, actually, on ESPN.
Let me get Rod and Larry's take on this real quick. Rod, your thoughts on this? Should Kobe be considered the second greatest player of all time? Because I'm sitting here like, I mean, I could make an argument him against Kareem because I have Kareem at number 2. I could make a valid argument on putting Kobe there instead, just for playing 20 years for the Lakers. Like he went through like 3 different eras, it feels like, with the Lakers. And then we haven't even talked about what he did internationally. Like, he won 2 gold medals with the Olympic team, basically flipped that program into what it is now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? You think it's crazy that we don't put Kobe that high, or?
I mean, no, it's not crazy, but the arguments can be made on all sides. I mean, arguments can be made, of course, with Kobe and LeBron. I mean, but heck, if you ever seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play, you can make an argument with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You ever seen Magic Johnson play from beginning to end, including playing center in a championship game to win it when Kareem had to be out? Yes, as a rookie, you could put Magic in the conversation. You know, the only thing you can't argue about is who number 1 is. Hell, if you want to go by rings, you can argue Bill Russell if rings is your only criteria. You know what I mean? I mean, so it just depends really on how you want to argue, what you want to argue. But Kobe, to me, the difference really that separates him and LeBron is the killer instinct. You know, LeBron to me is still a nice guy on the court. You know, LeBron
that is the worst misconception.
Yeah, I think he is, dude. I think he is. I mean, that's my opinion. Listen, Brandon, that's my opinion. I'm sorry.
LeBron has to switch.
But
guys like to play with him.
Hey, of course, guys like to play with him because they know they get an opportunity to shine at the end. They ain't want to play with Jordan because Jordan was a killer. Listen, Jordan is the type of guy. I throw you the ball at the end and you miss the shot, Jordan might punch you in the mouth. Ask Steve Kerr. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so look, Jordan is the killer. He wants to win by any means necessary. LeBron James will hug you and say, it's okay that you missed the shot. Michael Jordan's going to punch you. Kobe would probably punch you. Kobe would say, why you taking the shot? It's my shot, not yours. Kobe has more of a killer to me than LeBron does. And that's just what I see, Brandon. I could be wrong, but that's what I see.
I feel like just because he's a nicer guy doesn't mean he's not a killer. He wants to win just as much. He's just not going to attack your character for messing up.
I've seen some
or attack the basket to win it.
LeBron's had some moments. LeBron's had some moments, some big time moments where he kind of shrunk from the moment. I can't really think of. I mean, even when Kobe failed in big moments, he still took the shot. Like earlier on in his career, when he had those 2 air balls against Utah in the playoffs and they lost that series, he was 19 years old and he's out there taking these shots and still shooting it and learned from it and got better. Larry, I saved you for last for this. Your thoughts on this? Should Kobe be considered the second greatest of all time?
No. I mean, and I say it very confidently. First of all, a couple of things. I get tired of listening to people say, well, they won this many championships or that many championships. Championships is a team thing. You don't win it because of one guy. One guy can be a big part of it. But if that was the case, then Eli Manning and Trent Dilfer would be better than Dan Marino and Jim Kelly in football because they won more championships. So there's no way you can use that.
I think that argument is a little bit less valid in football than basketball.
I'm just using an example.
I'm about to say Robert Horry then if we just talking rings.
I don't say it's the GOAT. I don't say it's the end all. I just say it's part of the resume.
But
like you can't be the greatest of all time with no rings. Like that's just how. Like Charles Barkley can't be the greatest.
Let me explain why. Because I'll tell you what. Kobe Bryant. I guess the position he played in in basketball would be either forward or guard, whatever position you want to say that he was mainly. I call him a guard. Okay, but at the end of the day, I would say that my number 2 is completely different than everybody. And I think we're just talking about players. And I think Rod hit on it in our era. Oscar Robertson was a much better player than Kobe Bryant. He won 12 MVPs or 13 MVPs, only won 1 championship, guys. But if you look statistically, I think people forget the longevity of how long Kobe played. Kobe came out at a young age, just like LeBron did. So some of their numbers are skewed when you talk about most points and stuff like that because of the longevity of how long they played. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Kobe. I like Kobe. I would put Kobe there because LeBron, just because I have never been a big LeBron fan. And you guys know that. I think Kobe to me is, I agree with that, Rod, that killer instinct. But I've also seen Kobe not be afraid to mentor younger people. I don't see as much of that in LeBron. He wants to win. And there's no doubt about Kobe. But when you look at Kobe, and I hate to say this, guys, I think we, because of the way he was tragically killed and everything, we're asking these questions about how great he was. And you can't take away that greatness. But remember, none of these guys in this era today are team basketball players. Okay? You don't hear much about the Magic Johnson types and the Larry Bird types that we heard about that brought the game of basketball back to respectability. What was that, in the late 80s? Early 80s?
Mid-80s, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
mid-80s,
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, Bill Robinson, you got Oscar Robinson. Rod had a good one. Magic and Kareem. Look, he is in the top 10, but he is not. It's questionable whether he's in the top 5 when you go out of the era that you guys grew up watching. When you go back to the Bill Russells, when you go back to the Jerry West, when you go back to the Oscar Robinsons, there were some great, great players, and you can't compare them because the game was different. You didn't have the three-point shot back then, and things like that. But at the end of the day, I would put number 2. I'm sorry, Oscar Robinson.
My thing, and I've already, I feel like Kobe's probably number 4 behind Jordan, Kareem, and Magic in my book. And those are all those guys ahead of him, along with Kobe and LeBron at 5. I've had the blessing to watch their careers from beginning to end. It's not like
is he the greatest Laker?
Kobe? No, I've got Magic ahead of him. And Kareem.
Kareem.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I've
got Magic as the greatest Laker. I've got Kareem ahead of him all-time player at number 2. Because Kareem was LeBron before LeBron. He was, Power Memorial High School, on Sports Illustrated cover, phenom.
4 championships in college.
He was, and Kareem won early. Kareem won early when he came out. Magic, like Rod said, Magic's the only one out of all these players on this list, including Michael Jordan, that won a title as a rookie, and he won it. He was the MVP. He's the one that played.
Don't you give Kareem some credit for maturing Magic and helping Magic in the NBA? They were very close, and he always gave Kareem credit.
I don't give credit for that, because based on the documentary and
they want that close
HBO thing before.
Oh, really?
Winning Time or whatever it was called on HBO. I've had a lot of Lakers stuff to watch the past couple of months. They weren't that close in the beginning. Kareem was very reserved and away from the team a lot.
Yeah, Kareem wasn't into anybody based on his religion. He was going through some stuff based on his religion and his life, just life outside of basketball.
Now, Magic influenced Kareem's second part of his career by coming in and injecting, that magic, just Magic walking around just could light up a room. He still does to this day. It's wild to me that Magic Johnson is still with us and Kobe is not. That's kind of crazy if you lived through the 90s and had to go through the announcement and everything with Magic and the HIV and all that stuff. The fact that the man is still here and it's 2022 and he's probably healthier today than he was 30 years ago is just remarkable. But
the difference between Magic and Magic, Kobe, and you take LeBron and maybe even Jordan, those two are not only great basketball players, they're great people. Kobe was an unbelievable person off the court, a great dad and things like that. Magic, you just mentioned, a great person. It's so easy for people to like them because of how classy they are. And Kobe didn't start that way.
Yeah, I was going to say Kobe had some issues. People forget the whole Boulder, Colorado situation.
The league blackballed them for a minute, man.
Yeah, they did.
Kind of crazy.
He got blamed for running Shaq out of town. Lakers weren't that good from 05 to 07 or so before they got Paul Gasol. He tried to get traded. Yeah, so Kobe went through some spots, but he came back out on the other side.
Right.
And honestly, I think he was more popular after he retired. People seeing him at games with Gianna and all that kind of stuff, being a girl dad.
Desmond, is he more popular since he passed away?
Yeah, I would say yeah. That was a hard day. Like,
yeah, I remember that day very
I
well.
was covering a Wake Forest women's game, and the whole gym just went silent. That was
I've
crazy.
never been hit like that before. When a celebrity or an athlete passes away, I think the only thing that came close to it for me was when I found out Michael Jackson had passed away, because I was at work when it happened, and I was working at a call center, and when it happened, we literally shut down. Like, it was 4 PM, and we were supposed to still be working, and people refused to take calls. Like, we were just sitting there. Like,
one that happened, if you were from New York, where I was from growing up, was when Thurman Munson had the plane crash.
Yeah,
that was a huge one. That
it was
New York real
it was the way it happened, and with the way our media is today, we didn't know the full answer. I remember that day, frantically trying to reach people to find out what was going on, and of course, TMZ is the one that breaks it finally. The same folks that got you the Draymond Green video last week. These people are everywhere. TMZ
they're incredible, aren't they?
I don't know what,
and they're accurate, aren't they?
They have become a pretty accurate source.
Yeah.
They've grown from international.
Don't buy into that 100%. But they are usually first.
They usually get there for either them or Fox. They seem like they're the first ones on the scene for a lot of this stuff. But I got to let you guys go. I got Michael Davis from Out of Pocket waiting backstage. We're going to talk a little WWE, and then we're going to get into some of this other stuff. Rod will be back here a little bit later on with the East Forsyth 1992 panel that'll be coming up here in just a bit. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to bring
Yeah. Keep pounding, brother.
Hey, we're 0-0. We're 0-0. It's a new season, 12-game season. My division sucks. So, like, we're PJ, come on, baby. I just need 24 points. Give me 24 points, and we can do this.
And you play the Buccaneers twice still.
And Tom Brady's 45, and he's questioning whether he should have been back in the first place.
He's getting divorced.
He's getting divorced. He's getting divorced.
Hey, Rod. Hey, Rod. I'll take Tom Brady with one leg over PJ Walker.
So I'm gonna go ahead and remove you guys out of the panel real quick, and I'm gonna bring on Michael Davis from Out of Pocket with Michael Davis, now part of the TGI Friday lineup on WWBG 1470 AM, starting at 4:00 with The Score with Brett Wiseman. You got Out of Pocket at 5. You got Franchise Players at 6. It goes into high school sports at 7 live. Nobody in the triad is doing this. Mike, what's up, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, and we had a great time yesterday on the show. Got to have you on talking wrestling. It was always a good time. Didn't know we would have the SmackDown that we had while we were on air yesterday.
Talk to me a little bit about it, because I had to do high school football last night, so I never watched SmackDown live on Friday. I have to usually wait till the next day to actually watch it on Hulu. And, with us being in the morning, I haven't watched it. But I did go back and review. They put in, the review of what had happened. And I think we got another Bray Wyatt appearance, did we not, last night?
We did. And you and I were talking yesterday on Out of Pocket, like, is Bray Wyatt a face? Is Bray Wyatt a heel? And I think we got the perfect picture of what they're setting up for with Bray Wyatt as of last night.
So it sounded like to me when I was reading the review that Bray came out and cut a babyface promo, basically thanking the fans and, he was in a weird place for a year and all this other stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. That face that shows up on the video screen, that's not him, right? It sounds like he's kind of answering to somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So the picture I'm getting is Bray Wyatt did come out. He was like, thank you. It was very emotional. And I felt like a part of that was not a work, but a shoot. But I feel like they're using his emotions over the past few years, because nobody's going to boo him now that he's back. And you hear that voice, the mask that comes up on the screen, and he's basically saying, revel in what you are. And like you and I were talking about yesterday, Bray Wyatt's always been a heel. He's always been this monster. And I feel like that dark persona of him is trying to like speak into his head of like, remember
So
who you are.
Kind of like trying to figure out where he's going to go. I like the fact that they're positioned. I didn't think they could. I was looking at it like I didn't think they could make him a baby face based off of if they're bringing him back as the Fiend or the NXT version of Bray Wyatt or whatever, because we've just seen him as a heel for so long. I didn't know how that was going to play out. But if he's coming back as a completely different version of Bray Wyatt, that's got a little mixture of all of it, they need faces badly. Like they don't have enough of them. It feels like there's more heels running around than anything, and there's a restructuring going on. It feels like in terms of moving stuff around. I realized they moved Rey Mysterio over to SmackDown last night, and he's now the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, if I'm not mistaken, winning a fatal 4-way, which means he's about to get his chest chopped up by Gunther, like just ground beef. Probably he's gonna slap Rey Mysterio out the ring a couple of times. I can only imagine those. I know Imperium's been having these matches against the Brawling Brutes that have actually. I went into those with low expectations, and they've been fantastic. Every time they cross paths with each other, kind of wish Sheamus had won, but I get it. They're kind of they're trying to revalue the titles, and by doing that, you have to do it by keeping it on people for a while, not playing hot potato. So Gunther's been Intercontinental Champion for a while. Bobby Lashley did lose the U.S. title to Seth Rollins on Monday,
which was a shock.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Did you expect Brock Lesnar to show up on Raw on the season premiere? Like Triple H has been doing these surprise appearances. Like it feels like every week it's gonna get to the point where we just expect somebody, and it's kind of there now. Like we're just gonna expect somebody new to pop out. Last week on Raw, it was the return of the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, to join up with AJ Styles. Brock Lesnar makes an appearance right before the main event. And gets into it with Bobby Lashley, of course, to set up Crown Jewel. That had been rumored was gonna be Lashley versus Lesnar at Crown Jewel. But yeah, they put the belt on Rollins last night. Is that a good decision, or do you think they should have kept it on, or not last night, on Monday? Good decision, or do you think they should have kept it on Lashley?
I had a feeling they were going to keep it on Bobby Lashley. I felt even though they're not doing Raw versus SmackDown for Survivor Series, they were going to set up Lashley versus Gunther, because that would be a guy who Gunther could just lay into, vice versa.
Yeah.
But Seth Rollins, he has done an absolute amazing job this year. I mean, he put over Cody Rhodes 3 times in a row, and he protected Cody with his torn pec inside Hell in a Cell. And then he had this feud with Matt Riddle. Like he's put on, as Sheamus would call it, a banger after banger after banger. Yeah. And even if Seth Rollins isn't going to be world champion anytime soon with Roman Reigns holding both belts, it was a well-deserved victory, but I didn't expect it. And they still kept Bobby Lashley pretty strong after that.
I was going to say, I mean, literally Seth won because Brock Lesnar gave him, 3 F5s or something and something else right before the match. The Kimura lock on his arm. Then Rollins still had to curb stomp him twice or 3 times just to get it, to get him pinned. So they did make Lashley look super strong, and it puts up some interest for Lashley versus Lesnar at Crown Jewel, because I have no idea where that's going to go. I do like the idea that they took the belt off of him, because now it makes it more of a you don't know who's going to win type situation. And Lashley can easily challenge Rollins after Crown Jewel and get the belt back if he really wants it, or if they really want to go that route, because Seth doesn't necessarily need a belt. But you're right. He's done enough work the past 2 years where he deserved to carry something for a little bit. And it had been a little while since Seth had a belt. So Seth is the U.S. champ. I like that. I'm interested in how they're going to do this with the Usos, this dynamic they're building where Jay and Sammy are kind of not trusting each other, or really more Jay, anything else. But last week, they kind of planted that seed of maybe revisiting Roman versus Jay down the road. I noticed that. It was seemed pretty intentional that they would put that in there. Logan Paul kind of sowing doubt in the bloodline. Is there any way Logan Paul could win the title from Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel? Because I look at it like you've built Roman Reigns for 2 years by carefully protecting him and having him defeat all the top names in WWE, past and present. For them to, it can't even be, to me, it can't even be competitive. Like it's going to have to be a squash, like for this to make sense, because if you make it where Logan Paul can go in there and hang with Roman Reigns for 25 minutes, it kind of, to me, it kind of taints the title run a little bit, doesn't it? Because it's like, okay, if Logan Paul can do this, then it's almost
anybody can do it.
Yeah, anybody on the roster should be able to hang with Roman for 20 minutes. And the whole point of it's been, well, nobody can. And like a lot of those wins, he did it without any help. Like the triple threat at WrestleMania with Edge and Daniel Bryan, there was no interference in that match. Like he's done a lot of this stuff just on his own, which I think has been intentional too. I'm trying to figure out where they go after Crown Jewel, because next would be Survivor Series, and they already announced they're going to have 2 War Games matches. Care to try to maybe pick way ahead of time what those would possibly be? Because we like I said, you've got cliques kind of fighting each other, but traditionally War Games is 4-on-4. A lot of these groups are 3-man groups. So I'm trying to figure out how they would do this. I assume the Bloodline will be in one without Roman. You can do Solo, Sammy, and the Usos versus whoever. So what do you think? What do you think those War Games matches are going to be?
I feel like after last night SmackDown, I feel like they could almost get the Brawling Brutes versus
Imperium?
the Bloodline. Yeah.
Oh, ooh, Bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, without Roman, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because Jay and Sammy were on the outside, and last night Butch and Ridge Holland came down to attack. So I feel like they almost started to set the plane for Survivor Series, and it worked because Sheamus over the last,
he's
2
hot.
months,
Yeah.
he's hot.
Yeah.
And if you're going to strike on that right now, that would be the way. And War Games match with the Brawling Brutes and the Bloodline, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm there for that. And then on the Raw side, it kind of takes care of itself. You can do OC versus Judgment Day, pretty much. I would think that maybe OC adds Edge to give them 4, and then because that would make sense, and because Ray is on SmackDown now, and then Judgment Day, maybe they add another member between now and then, or maybe they let Rhea do it, which would be a little different, but not beyond the realm of possibility. We've seen them do that kind of stuff before. I would prefer, like we talked about on your show, a dynamic that maybe starts to form where maybe they do a 3-on-3 War Games, where it's Judgment Day versus the OC, but in that match you see double psychology where you got AJ and Gallows and Anderson kind of pulling on the past strings and relationship with Finn Balor and Bullet Club and New Japan to convince him to come join them and basically in effect flip Finn back to a baby face, because they need more baby faces. And I've heard they got huge plans for Finn and AJ going forward. So why not put him back with his boys and let them ride as that baby face? It'd be like a DX when they were faces type of group, basically. Like that's basically what they would be, and that's what they're missing. They don't have anything like that on Raw or SmackDown, really. I guess Bloodline on SmackDown comes closest to it, but I don't call them. They're not faces. They're in like NWO territory now, where it's like they're bad guys that get cheered, and no matter what happens, they're gonna get cheered because they're the cool thing.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah. Thank you, Sammy. They can do that there too. I gotta let you go because I'm up against it time wise. Definitely, it's crazy because now I feel like I have to ask you on each week. Before it was like I would space it out as things happen. But now it's like something's happening like twice a week. Like there's something on Raw or something on SmackDown. I have to watch it like the next day to find out what happened. And I have not been disappointed. Raw in particular has been on fire like the past couple of weeks. So I'll probably have you back next week so we can talk a little bit more. Ryan Frick had family in town. He was going to join us, but he couldn't do it. He's like, man, I wish I could because you're actually going earlier this morning. I can't go with all the stuff that happened over the past week. But we'll definitely chop it back up again probably next week, and who knows who shows up next week. So
no telling, we'll have something to talk about.
So I'm go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Sam Farber from the Charlotte Hornets Radio Network will give us a preview of the Hornets regular season starting here October the 17th versus the Spurs. We'll have the Hornets Radio Network through Tobacco Road Sports Radio on WWBG starting November the 3rd versus the Chicago Bulls. But we'll be back in just a bit. You listen to The Rundown on WWBG 1470 AM.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Hey, Panther fans. Right now on the SiriusXM app, hear the most in-depth Carolina Panthers coverage anywhere with Believe in Carolina Panthers, part of the Believe podcast network on SiriusXM. Hear from me, Desmond Johnson, and my co-host, Skylar Callahan from Sports Illustrated, and Panther great Jonathan Stewart as we break down the Panthers before and after every game through the NFL season. Your team, your podcast. Search BLEAV in Carolina Panthers on the SiriusXM app, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you believe?
Welcome to the Triad's best kept secret, Tucker's Grill, located on the corner of Highway 66 and High Point Road at 4110 North Main Street in High Point. Open 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Voted some of the best burgers in the Triad, Tucker's Grill also offers breakfast plates, breakfast sandwiches, hot dogs, lunch sandwiches, and homemade soup during the winter months. Visit Tucker's Grill for lunch today, 4110 North Main Street in High Point.
Welcome to J. Pepper's Southern Grill, locally owned and operated, serving the Kernersville community for over 10 years. Delicious homemade Southern food with a menu with a little something for everyone. With daily lunch and dinner specials, you can't go wrong choosing J. Pepper's, home of The Nest with East Forsyth head coach Todd Willard, every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. live during the season. Plus Wine Wednesday with half-price wine all day and live music every Thursday night. Come join the fun at J. Pepper's Southern Grill, 841 Old Winston Road in Kernersville. Call in your order now at 336-497-4727.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back into the rundown here, Saturday, October the 15th, 2022, WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Of course, you can check in with us online. If you're watching the show, you can actually participate in the show, interact with us live. Facebook Watch, YouTube on Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel, or on Twitter. Just comment in the comment section. It'll appear here on the bottom of our screens, and we'll be able to interact with you in real time. Joining me right now is the voice of the Charlotte Hornets Radio Network, Sam Farber, friend of the program. What's going on, Sam? How you doing?
What's going on, Desmond? We're at the precipice of a new season, so we're excited.
We just announced this week that the Charlotte Hornets will be returning to the Triad airwaves via Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We'll be producing about a 50-game slate of Hornets games. They'll be exclusive to WWBG 1470 AM. So if you live in the Triad, that's all of Guilford County, parts of Eastern Forsyth, Northern Randolph, and the signal actually goes kind of east, so it goes deep into the Triangle as well. So I was talking to the owner of WWBG earlier this week, and he said he could hear it at the zoo down in Asheboro. So, and the tower's up in Northern Guilford County. It's a 10,000-watt tower. It's one of the strongest AM signals in the whole area. So Hornets back in the house again in the Triad. We're so excited to have you guys back on. Interesting
and we're
season.
excited as well, too, Desmond. Sorry to jump in there, but I know, we had a great time at Greensboro for that preseason game. The support for the Swarm has been fantastic over the last few years, and we're excited that we were able to announce a couple of days ago that partnership with the city and at that complex at the field house is going to continue on with a new title sponsor at the Novant Health field house at the Greensboro Coliseum complex. So that's really exciting. And just to be on terrestrial radio, there were ways to get the games if you were a serious subscriber or, other methods, but to have it available to every fan in an area that is just a hotbed for NBA basketball, that's huge for us. We appreciate you and all your support and hard work making that happen. And we're excited to talk to everyone starting on November 3rd on WWBG.
That was one of the driving forces behind me wanting to get them back on out here. Because I'm old school in terms of being a Hornets fan. Like I grew up a Hornets fan from the very beginning, the 87, 88 squad onward. So from Larry Johnson and Zoe and Muggsy and Kendall Gill all the way to like Baron Davis, and then them leaving, finally coming back, getting the name back, Jordan taking over the team, all that good stuff. The one thing that made the Hornets so accessible was that back then they were on over-the-air television, so it was free. Like you could literally watch all 82 games whenever you wanted. So it was easy to become a Hornets fan. They were fun to watch. It made it where it was getting harder to watch them with the way they put it all on TV now. And I saw from doing this at a previous station here in the Triad that it was something we could possibly do. So super, super happy that we were able to get this worked out and the Hornets being back in the Triad. Let's get into some Hornets tidbits here. First of all, LaMelo Ball. Do you have an update on LaMelo Ball's injury? Ankle sprain that he suffered a couple of nights ago in a preseason game. I think the last thing I saw was that he might be a couple of weeks before he returns.
Yeah, there's varying predictions on this, and anytime you're looking at an ankle sprain, you can look at timelines for previous players, but how that ankle is going to react to treatment, to rest, it differs player to player. Some guys are able to bounce back quicker because the severity of the injury maybe is not as bad as originally thought, or they're just healing quicker. Others guys, it lingers and takes a lot longer. So it's a tough one to predict. Is there a possibility within the timeline for him to play opening day? I suppose, but it is also something that could linger for a couple of weeks. So I'll use a cop-out answer and say that we're day to day on him probably come opening day. And as the late great Vin Scully would say, aren't we all?
The other big thing kind of that's been attached to this Hornets team over the past couple of months is the situation regarding Miles Bridges. We just saw that his court case on Wednesday of this week, he was supposed to have a procedural hearing in Los Angeles. It didn't take place. This is the 6th time now that it's been moved. It's got moved to Monday, October the 17th. The Hornets actually start the regular season October the 19th at the Spurs. So 2 days before the Hornets start their NBA season, Bridges will, I assume, finally get a chance to do this hearing. He has pled not guilty. For those that have not kept up, he was arrested on June 29th in Los Angeles, charged with beating up his girlfriend in front of their 2 children. If I know the Hornets rescinded the qualifying offer, they'd given him a $7.9 million qualifying offer in July. They let it expire October 1st, but my understanding is that they still have the right to match any deal he would receive on the free agent market. What are you hearing from the team in terms of, do they still have interest in bringing Miles back? Have they completely moved on from Miles, or is there no they haven't really said a whole lot in terms of what they're going to do with that situation, which I understand. There's not a lot that you can really say until whatever is finalized. But what's the vibes that you're catching from the organization? Are there plans to bring Miles back?
Well, it's definitely an ongoing, legal process. So there's really not much I can comment on it, and not much for me to say. It's ongoing. So, how things transpire will certainly influence timetable and all that. I think the team is moving forward in the interim because you have to. The legal system is not operating on the NBA timeline, and the NBA is not operating on the legal system's timeline. Everyone is going to do what needs to be done for their own situation. And for the Hornets right now, that puts the focus on the 22-23 season. In terms of what you had to say about, do the Hornets control the opportunity to match contract? I believe everything you said there is true, but nothing. There's been nothing I've heard from anyone in the building about intent or planning or any of that stuff. It's an ongoing legal situation, and we wish everyone the best. And when it's time to make more decisions will be made.
The Hornets last year won 43 games. They had the NBA's 9th best offense. You got LaMelo Ball running the squad, a 20-year-old all-star. The team itself, most of the team is under the age of 24. This is a really, really young team. They didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason. Actually, Miles Bridges' qualifying offer was really the main thing that they did, other than they signed Dennis Smith Jr. here really late, right before we started the preseason. And then, of course, they drafted Mark Williams in the first round with the 15th overall pick. It feels like this is almost like a holding year. I'm not saying that the Hornets are trying to go out and lose games or anything of that sort. I know they would love to make the playoffs, but it also feels like it's a year where we're going to finally see some of the younger guys that we have not seen when James Borrego was the head coach get some run with the main team. And, I'm talking about guys like Kai Jones, James Bouknight, that basically spent a lot of time with the Swarm in Greensboro, but were first-round picks, and we didn't really see them with the team last year. It feels like they're going to be in the rotation this year. Like, talk to me a little bit about the young guns, so to speak, which is pretty much half the team, and some of the guys that you're kind of keeping an eye on that might be breakout stars that are, 19, 20 years old. They just haven't had a chance to play in the regular rotation yet.
Well, I do think the opportunity is going to be there for those young guys to make an impact on the team. I don't know if day one Bouknight or Williams or JT Thor or Kai Jones are in the rotation, I do think that there's going to be chances over the course of the season. Right now, the Hornets are looking at a situation where they might be without LaMelo Ball for a couple of days, a week or more. We really don't know what the timeline is right now. It's all about how he continues to recuperate and react and rehab his sprained ankle. But it opens up an opportunity for James Bouknight to come in. And last year, he had a couple of flashes. He had a 20-plus point game and unfortunately did not sustain that spot in the rotation. I think he's in a much better spot right now where if he gets the opportunity, he might not give it up, kind of like what LaMelo did his rookie season. He started off coming off the bench. Eventually, there was an injury to Devontae Graham, opened the starting spot, and it wasn't so much that they didn't want Devontae back in the starting lineup. Far from it. It was just it was undeniable. LaMelo was the guy. And so I think that could happen here with James Bouknight. I think it could happen with Mark Williams by season's end. Day one, do I think one or both of those guys will be in the rotation? Less likely. But by season's end, I'd be very confident that one of them will be.
You know, I kind of could see LaMelo developing chemistry with the Kai Jones or Mark Williams. They feel like they're ready-made alley-oop partners for a LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo's so good you can develop chemistry with LaMelo Ball. I mean,
I don't know
like
about
everyone develops. The kid's a natural. He is incredible at what he does, and I think the big step forward for him this year is going to be scoring the basketball. And I don't think it's going to be by taking a lot more shots. I think it's just going to be scoring more efficiently. I think he's got a better understanding on how to get to the free throw line. He's demonstrated that through preseason. He's finishing much more efficiently inside the paint. That was not necessarily a weakness, but it certainly wasn't a strong suit of his game previously. And not shocking either. He was 19, 20 years old competing against grown men out there. All the advantages he has, there's some defensive savvy on the other side that it takes a little time to figure out. He's figured it out, or he's figuring it out now. So I think we could see a huge jump, kind of like what we saw from John Morant last year. And if he does, that could lead the Hornets to some really special places.
Yeah, in the NBA in particular, it's different than any other professional sport to me because it really only takes one guy. If you have one guy that's like a top 10 type guy, and he elevates to that point, the team is going to be by default a top 10 team. And I can kind of see, I've always said that these Hornets remind me of like young Golden State. Not that they're going to get to that level or anything, but for a while, like 2013, 2012, 2014, that area in there where, we still didn't know enough with Steph yet to declare him like the level he's at now. He was going through all the ankle injuries and all that kind of stuff, but they had an abundance of like young talent like on the squad that just didn't have experience, like Draymond Green or Klay Thompson. Monta Ellis was still on that team. And they had to move some things around to get it where they figured out who their core three was going to be, and then they built around it. I feel like the Hornets are entering that territory where you've got these young kids basically on this team that are going to be led by LaMelo, and they kind of got to figure out, okay, who's going to be riding with LaMelo in this quote-unquote big three that we're going to build out of these young guys. I would imagine that maybe Mark Williams could be potentially one of those, considering where he was drafted. Kai Jones is in the mix as well. It feels like they're just trying to figure out what that's going to be. Gordon Hayward on this team, people forget Miles Bridges was starting last year because Gordon Hayward was hurt. Miles wasn't starting until that spot opened up for him. And when Gordon plays, Hornets typically win more than they lose. The issue's been just having him on the floor. What do you look at for Hayward this season? Do you think that I know it's hard to project whether or not a player can stay on the floor or not, but how different is this team when Hayward's out there as opposed to when he's not?
It's not quite night and day, but it's close. It's close. I mean, they're about 7 games above 500 in the last 2 years when Gordon plays, and roughly 10 games below 500 when he does not. Are there stretches where he's been out there that they've struggled? Yes. Are there stretches where he's been unavailable that they've found some success? Yes. But overall, over 2 seasons, that's a pretty good sample size. Tells you something about his impact on the team and on winning. Is he going to necessarily average 25 points per game? Probably not, but he doesn't need to for this team to be successful. He's such a calming influence out there on the floor, creates great space, takes advantage of opportunities on both ends of the floor. Last game in the preseason against Philadelphia, he looked fantastic. I mean, the Hornets were going up against a Sixers team that was playing Tobias Harris, was playing Joel Embiid, was playing James Harden, and the Hornets won the majority of those minutes when starters were going against starters. And Gordon Hayward had a ton to do with that. So I think he is really one of the keys for this team. Obviously, LaMelo Ball is the engine of the offense, but if Gordon Hayward plays in 65, I think this is a playoff team for the Hornets. If it's somewhere in the range that he's played the last 2 seasons, that equation gets a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it's funny. I look at the Hornets roster and I'm like, I think they've got the talent, but the Eastern Conference, it feels like every team in the Eastern Conference did something to improve. From Brooklyn to Chicago to Miami, just name them, and they did something. Where the Hornets, it feels like they're more content to, the past 3 years or so, they've had high draft picks and they've had multiple first round picks, and it feels like they're more wanting to see what they have like right now, as opposed to just continuously adding more and more of the same guy, the same 19, 20-year-old guy that they're drafting, mid first round to play center / forward. They've already got a glut of those guys right now. So it's like, we kind of got to figure out who are these guys that we're going to keep and who's going to be the future of the Charlotte Hornets. Because right now there's a lot of 21, 22-year-old players on this team that never got the opportunity to really show what they could do. So I'm really excited for this year. I feel like it's going to be one of those years where they can really surprise a lot of people. They're going to have the legs. And then with Steve Clifford coming back to head coach, I feel like they'll be better defensively too than they were previously. No knock on James Borrego, but that's kind of what Clifford's known for. And I think that'll help them grow as well, having Clifford's guidance through his experience and being with the program before. The Hornets opened the 2022-23 season October the 19th at the San Antonio Spurs. We will have our first game here in the Triad November the 3rd. I believe coverage will start at 7 p.m. versus the Chicago Bulls. You can follow Sam on Twitter at @sfarber. Sam, I hope you have a fantastic season. We'll definitely be in touch throughout the season. And just good luck on the season coming up here. It feels like to me the first regular season that we've had in 3 years. It feels like. So
I think that's fair to say. We're thrilled to have the world kind of come back to a bit more normal, if not all the way back to normal. And hopefully that includes fans from the Triad making the trip down. We made the trip up there to Greensboro. It's a beautiful drive, definitely doable, and the Hornets are worth it. So come on down and come see us. And if you can't, look forward to talking to you all year long on WWBG.
Sounds good. And yeah, I'm definitely going to try to get down to the Hive this year. As much as I can, at least over to the Swarm as well too. So check them out. Hornets Radio Network coming to the Triad starting November 3rd here on WWBG 1470 AM. Here with Sam Farber, the voice of the Hornets Radio Network. We'll be back in just a bit. 30-year class reunion, 1992 East Forsyth state champion football team. We've got 3 or 4 of their captains on. They're going to discuss what it was like going through that season. They finished nationally ranked 15th in the entire country, one of the greater high school football teams the state of North Carolina has seen. We'll reminisce about that, and they'll talk about this year's East Forsyth team too. It's ranked pretty high and has aspirations of their own to win a state championship. When we come back in just a bit, it's an East Forsyth Eagle takeover, the rundown here on WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
For the latest news on North Carolina A&T Aggies athletics, plus the best sports coverage in the Triad, follow Tobacco Road Sports Radio on Twitter at Tobacco Radio.
Back to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
I'm trying to hang on.
Welcome back to the rundown here on WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. You can check us out live every Saturday, 10 a.m. It's almost a Tobacco Road takeover this weekend. We had the TGI Friday season premiere yesterday. Franchise players, Out of Pocket with Michael Davis, The Score with Brett Wiseman. You can catch that now every Friday on WWBG from 4 to 7 p.m. Lead you right to our high school football games of the week. We had some good games last night. We'll talk about those in just a bit as well. But we got a little special, something cooked up for y'all tonight, or today, I should say. 30 years ago, one of the probably the greatest high school football team that I've watched, took the field and put it down for not just the city of Kernersville, but the state of North Carolina. The 1992 East Forsyth Fighting Eagles finished undefeated, 15-0 in the season, finished nationally ranked by USA Today, 4A state champions. I got them in the house. I got captains in the house. Rod put this together. We talked about it briefly like a week or so ago. I was like, no, it'd be really cool if we could put something together with the anniversary and do something on Rundown. And Rod was like, let me get after it. And he found you guys quick. And we were able to put this together. So what I want to do, let's go around the circle. You guys say who you are and the position you played on the 92 East team. Rod, we'll start off with you, brother.
Oh, shoot. Y'all know who I am. I'm Hot Rod Funderburg, baby. I was number 84 back in 92. I played defensive end. That would be strong side defensive end. That meant wherever the more than likely the action was happening, I was there, Captain.
Damn.
Marquis Scales, number 23. Halftime running back, full-time corner, baby. Shut it down.
You was the one that made us have to start showing up at games at 6:30 because you started running kickoff returns back at the beginning of the game. People didn't want to miss them. So we know who you are.
I try to tell people. 2 downs, I'm going, baby.
Juan
Davis, aka Mr. Wonderful. Strong safety right there behind Rodney Funderburg, and part-time wing back. Back in the day is what they call it, wing back. So inspirational leader of the team as well.
And then we got Mr. Clyburn. Looks like he's still getting comfortable.
Yeah, I'm trying to get comfortable, man. But y'all know, James Clyburn, number 77. Offense tackle. I played a little defense too, I think.
Yeah, you play a lot of defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I can remember.
And you were part of those two bookend tackles with you and Gary Watford.
Yes,
you know, they didn't have a lot of, most teams that maybe have one 290-pound tackle. We had two on both sides running people over. So I wanted to do this because y'all are, y'all were my introduction to high school. I was a freshman that year. So coming in, I'm a scrawny 14-year-old kid. I don't know, high school football, whatever. My family's from Greensboro, so I was more indoctrinated through Page and that kind of thing. My dad, however, went to East Forsyth, and he was a star basketball player in the 70s for East. So I knew of East then, but the football program hadn't won a state championship yet. And you guys had gotten close the year before, right? So talk to me a little bit about what happened in 91. Because was Rod to this day, he still talks about if he saw West Charlotte, like in Food Line, we might have to put a little football game together and see what was what. And y'all didn't get a chance to see him. Tell me a little bit about 91 and that run that stopped a little short.
Well, Des, if you want me to hit that one, from my recollection, they had at that time, West Charlotte was doing a lot of passing. We didn't see a lot of passing teams at that time. So one of the things that our defensive coaches wanted to do was they tried to switch up our defense. We played the base 50 all year. That means 5 down linemen up front. Well, then they changed our defense to a 40 where we had 4 linemen up front. And then we got an extra, I think, DB, if I'm not mistaken. But the issue was that defense had never been ran by us. We put it in and had to work on it basically for 3 days. So you're talking about working on a brand new scheme, a brand new defense that had never been ran. So we put it in, and in the first half, it didn't do too well. The crazy part was we went back to our base 50 in the second half, and we were smashing heads and we was cracking butts. And, because that's what we did. But then the following year, first thing our coaches did at the first day of practice, end of July, they said, hey, we want to apologize for putting in that defense. And they came out and they had a new defense called a nickel, where we kept our base 5 up front, and then we moved to 1 linebacker. And then we had the extra DB. And that's what we probably should have had our junior year. But that's okay, because, our senior year, we wanted West Charlotte bad because we wanted to bust them in the mouth. And that's just what it was.
Put y'all out at 91, right?
Yeah, they the ones who put us out in 91, because had we won that game, we would have gone to the state championship.
But I thought we beat West Charlotte in the playoffs 1 year, though, right?
Yeah, that was your sophomore year. Yeah,
so
sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was out on the road. That was down in Charlotte.
That was in Charlotte. We played in their stadium. I can't. Was it the Memorial Stadium one?
No, we played at their high school. At their high school.
Oh, was it on campus? Okay.
Yeah, they was number 3 in the state at the time too, and we had backdoored into the playoffs because
that's right. Because we beat Page at the end. Because we could only have 2 teams going to the playoff. Carver had already made it, and then the winner of the Page and East game would made it to the playoffs.
Page beat us, but Glenn beat Smith. They was taking 3.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Glenn beat Smith, so we snuck in. I'm talking about my sophomore year. Now that's
what. I'm talking junior year.
Oh, junior year. Now, junior year. Yeah, we beat Page.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got in there, and we played them. We played West Charlotte at Memorial Stadium. Sophomore year, we backdoored in there, and ended up upsetting West Charlotte in the first round. They was number 3, and we upset them, and they got on our bus and gave us congratulations, and they was crying. And everything is saying, hopefully we see y'all next year, and we'll run it back. And we ended up seeing them, and they snuck us. But I'm gonna tell you something, an interesting fact for that. West Charlotte's quarterback was Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton is down here in Houston. He's the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans.
Yeah. The Panthers were trying to hire him. With his connections down here, he won't come back. We got Ben McAdoo instead. That was the one I wanted. Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. That's
as a matter of fact, my son plays against his son tomorrow. His son is the quarterback at the school my son plays against tomorrow.
Wow.
Good deal.
Small world.
And West Charlotte is actually kind of on, I wouldn't say on the way back up. They were down for a while in the 2000s. If I'm not mistaken, they're doing a little better. They got a new coach now. They're trying to do their thing. But I know how Charlotte schools are. There's always one. There's one Charlotte school. The rest of them are chasing. And that changed from 92 to today. Back then, it was West Charlotte, and then eventually it was Independence. They had that long run where they won like 100-something games in a row or whatever. Down here, we're familiar with like Butler. East ran to Butler. I think 2012 they ran to Butler in a regional final game, and Butler beat them. Mallard Creek, they had the 4AA semifinal at East in 2015. Coach Willard would probably say, he might not say it now because his team might eclipse it, but that 2015 team was probably his best team in the 20 years he's been here. Undefeated, had guys like Nikkei Martin and Christian Beal on there. They lost to Mallard Creek in double overtime at home at the Nest. And it's crazy too, because I don't know if Tobacco Road exists if that game hadn't been played, because this just started in 2020. But the idea of like doing broadcasts and stuff like that, I was delivering pizza that night, and I remember I was off of Sedge Garden. No, I was off Sedge Garden Road delivering a pizza. So I'm like across the interstate, and I'm listening to the game on the radio. And I'm delivering a pizza to somebody at their front porch, and I can hear this huge roar just come like through the woods. Or this is like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I can hear the stadium from where I am, like coming up. It was Linville Road. That's where I was. I was off of Linville Road, so I'm like on the other side of the highway, but almost like across from where East is. I can't see them, but I can see the light coming from the stadium, and that roar was Mallard Creek scoring to win the game. And I got back in the car. I'm delivering the pizza, and I heard it, and I was like, I got to get back in here. I got to figure out a way to get back in this. And shout out to Coach Willard, Alan Plaster, the athletic director, all the coaches. They have accepted me and Rod back in to the point where me and Rod almost feel like part of the staff. Like they really, truly have brought us back in as family more than anything else. I want to talk about that, because talk to me about that family element with East, because people don't seem to understand. It's a little different out here, and it was like that then too. Like I see the same parallels from that 92 team I'm seeing in this 2022 team, where they hang out together, they all look after each other, they make sure they ain't getting in trouble, their grades are up, they pick each other up, they play off each other, and like me and Rod talk about on the broadcast all the time, like if the offense, something happens, say the offense messes up or something, the defense comes out, they know they got to punch somebody in the mouth real quick, they usually do it. Or say the defense let a touchdown happen or something. What's the one thing we always say, Rod? Like, what happens when you get punched in the face? And usually the East offense will come down and throw an 80-yard bomb or something right after it and immediately answer it. And it's like they got this fabric to them that seems familiar. Y'all talk to me a little bit about the community aspect when y'all were going.
Well, just real quick before they hit the community aspect, there's you know, the defense in '92 never got punched in the face. Just so you know, we did the punch. You know, you can go back. I can show you all the scores.
Let me
I
tell
can
you.
show you all the scores, bro. Ain't nobody ever punch us. Just so you know, that's all. All right, we can do the community now. Go ahead, Clark.
One time, I'm gonna tell you one short story. One time, it was practice. We was practicing on the big field. You remember we let Chad Depp score?
Oh
yeah.
Y'all remember that?
That's when we stayed out there forever. That's when we stayed out there forever.
We let Chad Depp score. And we was like, Coach, you better turn the lights on because we ain't ready. We ain't ready. I ain't seen Chad Depp in a long time.
He's helping us with the games. He's been helping us with the games. He's at every one.
Chad scored. And we was like, no.
I remember that.
No.
Yep.
So
I should have told Chad. I should have told him to get on here.
He got us, man. Chad scored on us, man.
What was the community like back in '92 for you guys in terms of support? Because I remember it being a slow burn. Like we didn't have something like Tobacco Road back then where you could listen to these games or whatever. So we had to wait for like Friday Football Fever, like Mike Hogwood, like to come on to find out. Like I didn't go to the state championship game. I had to wait till 11:30 or whatever to watch the news to find out if we had even won because there wasn't a radio broadcast of it or anything.
Right.
But I do remember the all the T-shirts and just everything after you guys came back with it. The way you guys won that state championship, because that was probably, other than West Forsyth, that was probably the closest game y'all had that year, wasn't it? Northern Durham?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything else was kind of decided.
Well, also North Forsyth.
North Forsyth.
We were too hyped. We were too hyped for North Forsyth.
Well, I don't think that game was close. Only the
it was
score
never
close.
in doubt, though. It was never in doubt. I mean,
Well,
we ran the opening kickoff back, and we knew we weren't gonna let them score. So the game wasn't never in doubt. It was just we just didn't put up the 50 that we wanted to put up on them, or 60 or whatever.
It was early in the year, right? Yeah, it was early.
But
It was
the
like
thing
week,
with
wasn't it?
North, we heard so much from them.
Right.
And everybody else, we took it. We was like, okay, we'll see, we'll wait. But with North, we were so close with playing Pop Warner football with those guys. They said they was gonna do this, and we started flapping back. So when it came down to it, we had so much energy in us, man. We couldn't really show it like we wanted to. But I tell you, like Juan said, they wasn't gonna do nothing.
No.
I think I think our thing was just trying to make stuff happen every time, every play, man. We tell them that every time we see them.
Yeah.
Because the thing with North, I mean, it goes back to the defense. We didn't let them score a point. Matter of fact, I don't think they got past the 40-yard line. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter what was going on. The defense was just real at that time. We did not play. We bust your head. If you got 2 yards on us, we was looking at each other and saying that's 2 yards too damn many. Excuse my French. But that's what we said on the field.
And wasn't that? I think it was around fair season too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was fair week. So y'all were bumping to each other fair.
And see, me and Bam played with the Tiny Vikings growing up, and the Tiny Vikings is the north side, Mineral Springs.
Right.
So all the people we played with, they went to North. Not all of them, but a lot of them went to North, and a lot of them went to Carver. And so the week before, I think we had just scored like 60 points. So all week at the fair, they're like, y'all ain't gonna put 60 on us. And we never talk junk. Like me and Bam, we would never talk junk outside of the field. We're gonna talk on the field. That's when we gonna talk, was on the field. But we never talked on the field. But for some reason at the fair, we're like, man, we gonna kill y'all too. We just couldn't hold it.
And the ironic thing about that, because I'm not one who really say a whole lot of stuff. But when I ran that one back, I say, here we go. Here we go.
Man.
And nothing happened after that, boy.
Man, it's crazy too, because like I look at the way these schools are shaped now, and like just remembering in '92 that we were in 4A with Carver, or we were in 4A with. Then you'll have like
Page, Burlington Williams.
Like the conference was like
Smith,
whole tribe, like literally, like y'all might have to go to Burlington one week, and then you might be up at North Forsyth the next week. That's wild to me because now it's so like everything's close together. So the Central Piedmont Conference, the East is in now.
Right.
It's basically all of Forsyth County. It's all the 4A schools in Forsyth plus Davie is pretty much the CPC. So and now some of those schools, I'm not gonna put them on blast. We just saw a couple of them. Some of those schools shouldn't be in 4A right now. Like they have no business being in 4A, and East has kind of hit a soft part of their schedule. But they're getting them right. They'll be fine. I want to touch on this Charlotte versus East thing because I made the mistake. Well, maybe not a mistake. I'm in this group on Facebook, high school football talk page, and I didn't realize that. Like, I guess some folks from Shelby made it because there was a whole bunch of Shelby fans in there, like a lot.
We played a Shelby team.
Did you?
did.
Yeah,
Our junior year. Yeah. Shelby Crest. Yeah.
I mean, it's Shelby. They're still up there. They beat Reidsville for the 2A title this past year, and they're still around. But right now, the teams down in Charlotte are Huff, who we lost to in the playoffs last year. We had to go down there, and it was the Western semifinal. And we played them head to head. It was a battle of field goals, really. Like defensive coordinator Aaron Bill's defense came to play that night, but we were a little limited on offense, and Huff's kicker was just as good as ours. And I want to say, Rod, the difference in that game was, I want to say, I want to say that Jalen had like a fumble, or it was like a interception, or something happened real
There
close.
was a turnover. Yeah,
something happened. I think he fumbled the ball. It was a scoop and score, and that was the difference in the game. And I think that made the East kids this year realize we can play with these teams. We just got to get in the weight room, get stronger. Reload. They reloaded the roster, like they added like all kinds of pieces to this roster. I see the parallels between that and y'all losing to West Charlotte in 91 and it motivating y'all for 92. Because to a T, all these kids, when we ask them what's the goal for this year, they don't say conference, they don't say conference championship, they don't say nothing but state title or ring, or they say we're trying to see Huff again or something to that effect. They don't really call teams out. They're pretty level with all that kind of stuff, but there's a certain level of, I don't want to say arrogance, I guess confidence. There's a certain level of confidence I feel when I'm around these kids. And Rod, you've been around them a lot too. Does it feel familiar? Because at a certain point in 92, it started to feel like y'all knew y'all were going to win this football game. It was just a matter of how much.
Yeah, I think with these kids here, man, the difference and the same that I see the parallels is when I ask them questions, I'll ask them out, who's the toughest opponents that they have faced in play. And they would say their toughest, they would never mention another team being their toughest opponent. They would always mention that it was the guys in practice. And we were the same way. We were the exact, and I would never tell them that. I'd never tell them the parallels because I don't want them to get the big head. I don't want them to mess up.
We tell them in December when it's all over.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, that's how we were. Games were easy. Practice is when you had to bring your hat or you might lose your slot. Because if you don't play in practice, and I know Clyde, Bam, and Juan can attest to this, if you ain't playing practice, it was somebody there ready to take your slot. And that's when we went the hardest, and that's when we made everybody better. Clyburn and I would go head to head 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and not rotate out. Not because we had anything against each other, but because he was trying to make me better, and I was doing all I could to make him better, And and these guys are saying the exact same thing. So that's what I'm seeing with it right now.
Well, I wish there's some tape still around of that. I would sit here and watch that right now.
Yeah.
We throw it on.
Them practices were amazing. The physicality was amazing. And like he said, man, it's not that we didn't like each other. We had a lot of love for each other. We did a whole lot of bonding that people don't even realize. Like for instance, the majority of the team had shaved their heads. We had the bald head. We had certain things that we did in the locker room. You know what I mean? That was initiations.
Lord. Yeah, you can't mention them on the airwaves. You can't mention them.
It's 2022.
No. I'm just saying it was the things that we did that helped with the bonding. And man, so like you said, when it was time for the games, shoot, that was the easy part because we done destroyed something in practice. Practice was super physical.
And then there's one more element that these guys mentioned that we did, and we kept it quiet. And I'm kind of glad that they're keeping it quiet a little bit, unless you mention it. But as a team before a game, when we started the season, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4 guys who might get together and have prayer before the game. Then by the end of the season, we was all together having prayer before a game, man. And these guys are doing the exact same thing. So
Yep.
that element too, I'm seeing that, and they're telling me that. So I'm just like, wow, you know.
I think one thing, from being around football, for a long time, I think we brought into each other. That was one thing. That was one thing that helped us out. One thing that I don't see a lot, even now in the NFL, I don't see guys buying into each other. We was, we said that we weren't gonna let that happen again when we lost that game down in West Charlotte at Memorial Stadium. We said that's it, and we took it from the summer all the way up to December, whenever the state championship was. So you got to buy into it, and back then, football was a lot tougher than what it is now. Man, we practiced twice a day. Twice a day.
Y'all had them huge pads too. Like they don't even wear them pads. Like big, huge, like because every time I see pictures of y'all, like in the newspaper, why y'all look like giants? Like y'all got these massive, y'all got these massive pads on. Like it look like you knock somebody out with your thigh pad. I'm like, yo, you got the neck brace things going on. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. Yeah. And these kids don't even know if they make those anymore. These kids wear these like slim down pads and almost nothing on their legs.
But
so,
but back then, let me tell you, practice was hard. It was hard on a high school level. Practice was hard, man. I'm talking about from the time we got there in the morning, coming back. The hardest thing was riding the activity bus because you're going to get it on the activity bus. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, R.I.P. to Mr. Petrie, man.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Rest in peace, Mr. Petrie. He was our bus driver, boy. He let anything go. Hey, man, but Clyde, you telling the truth. That activity bus is what made us tough, bro.
It was tough, man.
Yeah, because on that activity bus, you might get clothesline, flipped over a seat, anything. I seen cats take boots to the head on that activity bus.
There was a lot of stuff, man. Look, it's a lot of stuff we can't talk about that made us as a team that we did.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you.
I want to say this. I'll never forget. I don't know if y'all remember this, but I don't know if it was our senior year or junior year, but we was able to leave after school before the game started, and we was heading down Old Greensboro Road. Juan, you might remember this, and that's where an accident happened.
Yep.
And we lost one of our linemen.
Woody.
That right there, Woody Good. He had an accident.
Talked about this in the article we did, yeah.
Yep. And to me, I think that right there really defined how we were as a group, how we was as a team. Because after that day, nobody left, nobody could leave. Put it like that.
Right.
Even the coaches down to us, we didn't want to leave anymore because we seen that some things would happen and something would kind of hurt that team, kind of hurt our team at the time. So from then on, man, and to have him out and to see him on the sideline and not able to play with us,
right?
That hurt us. That made us work even more harder, to get where we were during that time of year. So
I gotta admit, I had something else planned with you guys too, but I'm gonna keep it right here because I like the vibe going right now. We're gonna go a couple more minutes, kicking it with the 1992 East Forsyth Fighting Eagles, state champions, the first state champions for East Forsyth. East is up to 3 now, looking for 4 possibly this December. Team's ranked number 1 in the state. Head coach Todd Williams' 20th season has turned East Forsyth into just something else. Like I look at it, you guys were the foundation that showed it could be done up here. But he has turned this program into like
let me tell you,
annual thing. Like the state looks at them almost like we're from Charlotte. Like it's crazy to say it that way, but they kind of look at us as like this weird alien thing. Like, well, y'all can't be that good. Y'all not from 704. And we're like, yep.
But look,
it is. We'll see you Friday.
Guys, y'all can agree with me on this. East has always had talent. East has always really been good. From before we got there, from the Malcolm Marshalls and the Tim Witherspoons.
Even Mike Jones.
Them guys kind of brought us up, man. Them guys was hard on us in the weight room. I'm talking about hard. It wasn't no easy thing around there East. Man, when they pulled you up on varsity, You getting that work.
Yeah.
Simple and plain.
Yep.
Talk to me, because I would all of y'all, I would imagine, played for Coach Pearson, right?
Yeah.
No.
'Cause, you know, no,
I didn't
all
play
y'all-
for him.
No,
'cause
me and Bam didn't play for
Who
him.
got moved up? We did get, all of us got moved up.
I didn't. Remember, I was too busy playing around my sophomore year.
Oh, well, at the end of my sophomore year, yeah, we went up at the sophomore year. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Well,
I
Coach
played
Pearson
for Coach
passed away
Pearson
this
and-
week, so you know,
and
rest
Coach
in peace for
Pearson.
Coach Pearson too. And I know that Joe Bill took over. He took over '92, didn't he? Was
No,
Will Pearson-
91.
He took over.
He took over in 91.
Will
But
took over
rest in peace, Coach Pearson as well.
Yeah.
He just passed away Tuesday, 85 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So-
I remember that, because I had to block a dog that y'all don't know about. I'm talking about, I'm young, blocking Tory Workman.
Yes, Lord.
Wow.
Jeez.
That, and let me tell you, that dude was a dog, man.
Yep.
Tory Workman
From
and
West Forsyth.
from West Forsyth, and let me who was the other kid from West Warren?
Antoine Jeffries.
Antoine Jeffries.
Yep.
Now I give them credit. There was some dogs now.
Yep.
I don't know if they listen to this. Tory Workman and Antoine Jeffries were some dogs in that Winston-Salem area.
Well, let me ask y'all this then: Who would you say was your biggest rival back then? Because I know Page was always the last game of the year, but yeah, y'all had some teams that didn't like y'all. Like
what year you talking?
Let's say for that '92 year. Let's say in '92, who was y'all's bit like here, not down in Charlotte, but who would you say was
West
the
Forsyth.
one team y'all got up for?
West Forsyth was our hardest. They the
Yeah,
one
they were the
they
hardest.
gave us the business.
They
Was
always
that
did.
your biggest rival in '92? Would you
Well,
say was West? Or
but
would you say like Page or something?
No, I'm
Probably-
gonna tell the real
Probably was
story.
Carver.
Tell the real story. West Forsyth, y'all just ate too much spaghetti.
That's what.
That's what it was.
They had a good team,
Nah,
though.
man. We
West
kind of
had a
had
good
two rivals, to be honest with you, Des. Carver was definitely the rivals because a lot of the guys went to school with guys who on
Y'all
this
put
side
on
of the
Carver.
road you went to Carver, and on this side of the road you went to East. Because to be honest with
like
you,
that,
I could have rode my bike to Carver, but the way
Yeah.
they split the road, my homeboys was at Carver. You know, Hobart Jones, you know, all them guys, they was at Carver. But then our second rival would have been Glenn. You know what I'm saying? And we won't go into reasons, but I would say those are the two rivals
But
due
still
to the
today,
way our team was constructed.
Yeah,
And to be
I mean-
honest with you,
But Glenn was
when you-
terrible though.
right. But we talking about rivals from the team. You're right.
Oh,
They
okay.
were. They
But
were.
it was
But
a
we
baseball
talking about
school.
rivals
It was
from
a
the team.
baseball school.
Look, and if you just want to be straight with it, let's be straight with it. I'm going to talk frankly to you. It was
Right.
92, 30 years ago. For the brothers, it was Carver. We was
Carver.
like, yo, we getting up for this.
Yeah.
It's Carver.
Oh,
For the brothers, for our Caucasian brothers on the team, they was like, we got to beat Glenn. We got to
Glenn,
beat
yeah.
Glenn. You know,
That's
that's how it was. You know what I'm saying? Because a
It's
lot of
still-
them
it's still
lived
like
in,
that.
a lot of
Hey.
our Caucasian brothers lived in Kernersville, and we
That's
lived
real.
in Winston. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
just real. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Right.
It's
Hey,
funny
and
too.
look, and you know what's crazy, real quick? If you add up both scores from that year when we played,
Yeah.
we beat them like 100 to
It's
7.
100 points, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 100,
And also-
107.
It was like
Fun fact, that's what we had.
167.
99 yard. That 99-yard dash by Raheem Porter.
by Raheem. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, bro.
He's had
Glenn
both
got
his
to the
sons go
1
through the
yard
program
line and
past
couldn't
couple
punch
of
it
years.
in, man.
You know, what's funny too, because I've talked about this before. In the early 2000s, who was the coach over at Carver when y'all was there? Was it
It was
Poe?
Wilkes.
Keith Wilkes.
Keith Wilkes. That's right.
Man, look. So the rumor was that because of how much y'all beat Carver by '92, that anytime Carver saw East, they were gonna run the score up on y'all if they got the chance. And East went into a little bit of a dip, like right around by my senior year, about 96, 97.
Yeah.
Kids started getting smaller and smaller. Because like I said, when we were freshmen watching y'all walk around campus, and y'all looked like y'all were 25, like to us, like for real. Like y'all walking around like grown adults, like walking around this campus. And we these like little kids just showing up from like Ashley Middle School or wherever. And we're like, what in the world is going on here? The rumor was that, and I've asked some of the Carver people before, they're like, nah, that ain't it. But they'll kind of look at me like, in like early 2000s when Carver won their little run and they had a couple state championships, it felt like they were getting kids from East, like kids that would have been at East and stayed there.
What they
were
wanted
full.
all of, to be truthful, Carver wanted all of us to transfer there.
Right.
But back then it was hard to transfer.
Right.
They
Yeah.
wanted all of us to come to Carver.
But now Forsyth is open enrollment. So if you got a way there, you go wherever you want. So it's changed the dynamic where like some of these schools have become more specialized in certain things. Like Glenn and Reynolds are really good in basketball. Like every year it feels like East is really good at football. Like, and it's at the point now with East, and that's part of what we were doing broadcasting these games. My idea was that I want to make it where we do a coaches show each week. Like we're basically doing it as if they're like a college program. I wanted it so that the kids would have experience in front of a microphone when they go off and do other things. And more importantly, other kids, they're hearing this from other schools.
So they want
like Reynolds or wherever. They're like, how come East Forsyth's got a coach's show and we ain't got one? How come their game's on the radio all the time and we ain't on it? Like, I want my name to get called out too. I wanted to make it where kids wanted to come to East. And we were talking about this Tuesday night after the Nest, Rod, and Coach Willard like full-heartedly agreed. When I was telling it to somebody else, he's like, yes, like that's helped in terms of the exposure of the program. It's made East feel more big time in terms of if you can come to East now and play football and you're a starter and you're doing your thing, you're probably going to be statewide. Like, I mean, it's gotten to that point, you know? So, and it's something that they take very proudly. I know that Coach Willard and the guys that are there now, they know about 92. I mean, hell, me and Rod talk about it enough. They know about it. They see they see the rings, they see the trophies and all that stuff. And I always joke with Willard. I'm like, I kind of hold 92 in this like mythical 85 Bears type thing because I watch y'all do stuff that I haven't seen another team do since then, like in terms of blanking people out or some of the hits that you guys were laying on people. Y'all were knocking
we
people
get
out.
flags for that now. You know, Juan Davis had a hit down in North Mecklenburg. Dude got up and told Juan, I thought you killed me. That's what the man told Juan. But you know, hey, that's how we played back then, and it was legal. All that stuff now, we get flags on that stuff now.
Man, you'd hear that pop and then that off in the crowd. It's like, pop. Oh, like,
Nothing like
balloons. Man, yeah. So I wanted to, having said all that, give me real quick before I get you guys out of here. And thank you all for doing this. And I might have to try to get you guys back if 2022 can get all the way back to Chapel Hill. We're gonna plan something else and get something going. Maybe I could throw a couple of them on here too, and we'll be able to do something really fun.
Nice.
Tell me your fondest memory of 92. Was it winning the state championship, or was there something that happened in 92 that you immediately think of when you think of that 92 team?
I think of the brotherhood.
Right.
I think of the brotherhood, man. Like I've never been. It's hard to describe, like put into words what I felt for those guys, and I'm sure what they felt for me and we felt for each other.
Right.
It was just,
no doubt.
It's like a lifelong friendship. No matter how long I don't talk to the people, to my boys, whenever we talk, it's just we pick right back up. So it's just like it was just the brotherhood, which translated into us winning it. But the way I cared for them, the way they cared for me, the way they cared for each other, it was, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before in my life on any team. On any team.
I feel that. Yeah, I can feel that for sure.
You know, for me, I don't think they realize this, but I've noticed with that team, every time I think about it, man, we had really 11 quarterbacks. Everybody knew what everybody was supposed to do. That's what made us real good. If there was never a person that
really
go out
y'all
there and say, hey,
messing up.
man, you supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. You know, then also, you know, we got incentives on the defense for being so good. You know, back then they gave away huge pieces, baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's
now
this
coach
going?
be like, hey, you get a wetsuit, you get a whole piece.
That's
and
right.
You know what? That wasn't for that one person. We shared that pizza, man.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So that's where that family came in at, man. So we either made sure if we didn't have lunch, we was going to the bathroom some kind of way to go get us a piece of pizza. You know, so that's that kind of stuff right there. That really resonates right there with me, man. That's important about it. And I know you're gonna hear people chime in and say the same thing. That camaraderie we had, that a lot of people don't have nowadays. There was no big eyes, no little U's, man.
Right.
So Yep.
James, you go, and I'm gonna let Rod close it out.
And but one thing I could say is, it wasn't a state championship; it was the whole entire season. You got to remember, a lot of times we beat teams. I'm talking about destroyed teams, and we gave a chance for a lot of guys to play. A lot of guys got to play. So that
And
was
the crowd would stay. We wouldn't leave
Yeah,
in fourth
the
quarter.
whole game.
Yeah, because y'all was up 49-0 on somebody. We would sit around and be like, okay, we want to see if they can get the 60.
What's that? Burlington.
Yeah.
Burlington Cummings.
Burlington Williams.
61 points.
Burlington Williams. I mean, we had D linemen. I remember Gary Monroe scored a touchdown. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Gary
But
Monroe, I haven't known him forever.
And then, you know, we had got these black skull caps. We had started sitting on the sideline with black skull caps because we was done. We had put up 40-some points, so we done.
Yeah.
So,
That's the talk Rod just gave the boys last week because they saw Parkland, and he was like, look, I want to see y'all sitting on the bench start of the third quarter with a running clock. Like,
that's what we were doing.
That's what they did. That's literally what they did. They started out 59-0, started the third quarter. Like,
right. So we was done.
Yep.
But these guys, you know, I remember all these guys, man, from playing on every level, from, you know, high school, college, and in the pros. This group of guys, I will never forget them. I love them. I love them.
Rod, close us out, brother.
Man, it's hard to close out after what these guys just said because they all telling the truth. I mean, like Clyburn said, to his point, it's the whole season. It was awesome. To his point, he also said guys got to play. Everybody got to play. The crazy part is the guys who were backups to the starters, they could have gone to any school in the county and would have been starters. That's the crazy part about that joint. But just the whole year, man. But, you know, just to touch on the question, I think you asked Des and we didn't really get to answer it. That whole season alone, coupled with what these guys have already said, the whole East Forsyth school had our back. Whatever we needed from the student body to the teachers to the principals.
Man, pep rallies were legendary. Like,
dude, we got man, y'all used to pray that we had a pep rally because y'all was out of school and going on because y'all didn't have to go back to school. You know, one time I think we had a pep rally at like 1 o'clock because we had to leave early. And they said y'all could go ahead and dip on.
We got to wander around for the rest of the day, like for a whole hour and a half after the pep rally. Look, the state championship pep rally is probably my favorite one. Because it was the one where literally nothing was planned. Like they were just like, we gotta do something. they put us all in the gym, and I remember they had y'all just standing there in the basketball court, and there was nothing really planned. They called everybody's name or whatever. Everybody came running out, and then y'all just standing there like, well, what are we supposed to do now? And then somebody put on "We Are the Champions" or something like that, and like we will rock you. And then "We Are the Champions" came on after that, and that was like the whole pep rally. Like literally, "We Will Rock You" came on. Everybody was cheering. Players take a turn dancing or whatever. "We Are the Champions" came on right behind it. The crowd started singing it, and that was to me like my most vivid memory of that team was that pep rally, being in there as a freshman and watching it, thinking, "Man, it's gonna be like this every year. It's gonna be like this every year here. It's gonna be like, man, we're crazy." And it just went like this from that point on. When y'all left, it was just like, man. So like that was my introduction to high school football in the county. But I see Rod all the time, talking to you guys on the phone. I know Juan, we talk online a lot. You listen to the games and stuff. We always give the link to everything. And I could tell that you guys are still real close. Like it feels genuine. Just us cutting it up before we start recording. I didn't graduate.
I love them dudes.
You know what I mean? But y'all know me through association, through everything we've done with East. And I want to say I appreciate y'all for accepting me. Because like I said, I didn't graduate with y'all. I didn't play on that team. But it was one of my fondest memories of high school, and me getting a chance to become brothers with Rod over the past 4+ years or so has gotten me a chance to get in and meet you guys as well. So I just want to give respect to you guys, and the town still loves y'all. Like I said, the town treats y'all like I said, like y'all the 85 Bears, man. Like they hold y'all in high esteem. That like it's wild. Now I'll end with this real quick. If this East team can pull this off, get all the way to the state championship, keep winning the way they winning, do it the way y'all did it, are y'all going to be, excited, happy for them, or are you going to be a little bit like, I don't want them messing with our crown?
No, you know what? This year, things they have to beat Charlotte teams.
They're going to have to go through 2 or 3 probably, the way the West is set up. All of us are in the West, so.
then if they make it to the championship, they can hold. I give them a cup halfway full. It'll never be full compared to us. That's just my personal opinion.
But
simply because of the points, we put up, and the way we dominated. That's just me. But if they can do that, it would mean a lot. And then again, the biggest thing, they have to be ranked nationally higher than 15.
That's the separator. That is the separator. They got to be ranked nationally for me to look at them as the same, because not every team is. I mean, we've had North Carolina teams come here and win championships, but they're not ranked nationally, top 20 or whatever when it's over.
But it used to just be one classification, though. That's why I say
it is now.
Now they went back to it. Yeah, they just went back to it.
Went back.
Because
that's the only reason why I'm saying this.
Okay.
East won 18 and 19 and what they call little A. It was 4A, and everybody else is in 4AA. But East always rode that line because of their numbers. So they were always kind of straddling it because they were in 4AA before when the 2015 Mallet Creek thing. So East ain't scared. They ain't scared of these Charlotte schools at all. Like they look at it like, we can run with y'all too. It's more of a matter of respect on this end. And that's the thing I like about this year's team. They understand they have to go earn it. It's not going to be something that's handed to them. They don't want to skip past a Huff or Chambers or whoever. If they're in the way, they're in the way. So
92 was special. I don't care what nobody say. 92 was special.
Always will be.
Oh, look, and Dez, 92 was very special, like they said. But even on top of that, man, I knew these guys were my brothers because they probably could have won the state championship without me. And what I mean by that is this. I had the type of parents didn't even want me playing football, cuz. Juan Davis came to my house. I think Bam came to my house, sitting there begging my mom to let me play. Because every year I had no idea if I was going to play. If I messed up one little inkling, it was just an excuse not to let me play because my peoples didn't believe in football. They was just like, yo, you going to study, that's it. You don't need to play no football. So, I mean, knowing that these brothers had my back would come as far as my peoples to be like, yo, please let this brother play. But, he with us, we together. That's what let me know that it's bigger than just a football field, man. Because they could have just left me at the house and be like, yo, we going to do this thing.
We'll see you know what I'm saying? McDonald's after the game. Yeah,
exactly.
And let me tell you something. These guys have your back. These guys have your back because one guy on here had my back because I ain't gonna say nothing. You know who he is.
Incriminate.
I ain't gonna say nothing. But he saved me from doing something major.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He sure did.
Right we're gonna end it right there.
Yeah.
Thunderbird saved it. So these guys got your back, man.
I'm gonna have to ask that off mic. Like I have no idea. My mind.
Hey, I ain't even gonna mention that unless Clyde say I can tell you off the back, Mike.
I can't say nothing about that, though.
Yeah, I can't even tell you about that one, bro.
No, Rod Thunderbird, Bam Scales, Juan Davis, James Kleinberg, cabinets from the 1992 state championship East Forsyth team, undefeated, nationally ranked, defeated Northern Durham in the final 28-21 and one of the best state championship games you probably would have ever been able to see. We're gonna do this again. This was fun. We're gonna figure this out in a couple of weeks. East, they got a couple of weeks to go before we get the playoffs. Me and Rod are with them the whole ride. I've told Coach Willard already we're planning on working until second week of December. So y'all get your Wheaties up and everything else because we in this for the long haul. This feels familiar. So like we're gonna see what they can do. But I appreciate all y'all on today.
Yeah, go East, man, all the way, man.
No doubt. Go Eagles, baby. Go Eagles.
Nothing like 92.
Right. We'll be back in just a
Hey guys, it was good to see y'all, man, and hear y'all.
Hey, good to see you too, Big Juan. I'm coming out there for New Year's, baby.
Hey, it's on and popping, baby. Come on to the
8th.
I need to come to Houston, man.
Clyde, let's go New Year's. Let's go New Year's, Clyde. Let's roll.
Hey, sounds like a plan formulating. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a bit. You're listening to The Rundown, WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown. Desmond Johnson.